Good evening, everyone. Wow, that's awesome. It's amazing to have this many people here this evening. Thank you for joining us. I know we've got a lot on the agenda, so I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. I do want to, before we get started, I wanted to announce a few changes from the original printed agenda for this evening, just in case someone showed up for something that may have been deferred. The following items have been deferred and will not be considered this evening. That is MP-26-03/CLUP-26-01/V-26-02, TPG Brookside West, MP-26-01/CU-26-01, Spirit of God Church, Windward Master Plan Pod 16, Z-25-10/V-25-22 Levitan/75 and 91 Roswell Street. And the following items have been withdrawn and will not be considered this evening. And those include MP-26-04/CLUP-26-02, Z-26-02, CU-26-02 Moon Valley /Regent Partners MP, and MP-25-08, CU-25-13, V-25-17, Hanover Windward Park, Windward Master Plan Pod 66. So if any of you came for specifically those items, you might have saved yourself a few hours this evening. I'll go ahead and note for the record this evening that all members of council are present and accounted for. And we always begin our city council meetings with a Pledge of Allegiance. So if you're willing and able, please stand and join us. First item we'll be taking up this evening is presentations and proclamations. Seems that we do have a proclamation for the Alpharetta All-Star Georgia State Championship baseball teams. So if everyone affiliated with the teams wants to meet me down front here. Gosh, that's a long one. All right, who's the head coach? I'm doing great, Coach. How about yourself? You want to tell us a little bit about your program and which we're here tonight?
My name is Spencer Ripley. We're with AYBA, which is Alpharetta Youth Baseball Association, right down at Wills Park. We also play at Webb Bridge. Right now, you're looking at two of our all-state or state champions for the all-star teams. Right here, we have a great group of guys, great coaches. We had a blast this summer. We played over 31 games this summer, and that was from Memorial Day all the way to 4th of July. This group that you're looking at right here is a 10U team, and we ended up winning the state championship through Braves Country, and we're going to be playing again this spring and through the summer, and they play rec ball but play all-star, and we beat several travel teams. So we're proud of these guys.
I'm Ryan Rose, the coach for the 12U All-Star team. So we had a similar schedule. We played all the way up until July. The boys won the 12U All-Star Championship through Braves Country. They went undefeated, and we actually had multiple single game pitchers. So it was a good We only used 5 pitchers in the whole series, so it was really good. They worked really hard.
I'd also like to say thank you to the city council too. We get a lot of support from you all over at Wills Park. I'm on the board there, and it means a lot to us, everything that y'all do for us as well. So thank you all.
So some of my favorite memories were my son playing at Wills Park, and they even let me, or were forced to let me, coach back because all the good coaches would want to play football coach in the fall. So they wouldn't let me be a coach at Wills Park during the spring when it really was serious ball for them. But they let the scrubs like me play as a coach every fall just so we could do some interesting baseball in the off season then. So I do love this. I love Wills Park, and I'm appreciative to all the volunteers that make this possible at AYBA and the coaches. I know how challenging that can be. So God bless you all. So with that being said, I've got a rather lengthy proclamation for all of these achievements. And this is a proclamation by the mayor and council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, 2025 Alpharetta All-Star Youth Baseball Teams. Whereas the 2025 Alpharetta Youth All-Star Baseball Teams received several accolades this season, and whereas the Alpharetta Eagles, ages 9 and under, had an overall record of 20, 10, and 1. There's no ties in baseball. And won the Georgia District. The Georgia Regional became the Georgia State champions and were runner-up against the entire Southeast. This season, every opponent the team faced was scared to step up to the plate against them. This season, every opponent feared stepping into the batter's box against the team. 12 of the victories came by double-digit margins, and their only losses were to nationally ranked travel baseball teams. And whereas the Alpharetta Eagles, ages 12 and under, had an overall record of 19 and 11, scoring a remarkable 268 runs, earning 13 wins in which they tallied more than 10 runs. Beyond their success on the field, the teams consistently demonstrated outstanding character, bringing relentless competitiveness and effort to every game, while also supporting younger teams, cheering them on, and encouraging them to grow as both players and people. And whereas the following students and coaches are a part of the 2025 Alpharetta Youth Baseball Teams, there's quite a few of these names. So, I could use the workout. Alpharetta Eagles, 9 and under, all-star players. Bennett Gallagher, Landon Shepard, Weston Coelho, okay, not too bad. Joseph Weisbecker, Ryan Leinenkühler, Keyshawn Mistry, Spencer O, Griffin Brock, William Ripley, James Messino. Coaches, head coach Spencer Ripley, Assistant coaches, Anthony Gallagher, Adam Coelho, Nitlin Mistry, and Greg Leinenkühler. Alpharetta regulators, 11. And under all-star players is Lincoln Sherrill, Wyatt Chapman, Alex Abraham, Nathan Guthman, Nolan Hahn, Ethan Hazard, Oliver Behrens, Dylan Robertson, Santiago Salvador, Brandon Tang, Maddox Hunt, with coaches being head coach Jake Sherrill, assistant coaches Scotty Hazard, Mike Behrens, Matt Robertson, and Hong Tang. Alpharetta Eagles 12 and under all-star players, Lawson Gallagher, Mills Lloyd, Gunnar Hearn, Dylan Robertson, Santiago Salvador, Drake O, Dylan Rakowski, Jacob Greiner, Brendan Tang, Maddox Hunt, Noah Kim, William Van
Eidick, Eldick, Lincoln Sherrill, Wyatt Chapman, Alex Abraham, Miles Rose, M.G. Weathers, Nathan Guthman, Nolan Hann, Jayton Anakalat, sorry if I massacred that one, Leo Richmond, Ethan Hazard, Oliver Behrens, coaches, head coach Ryan Rose, assistant coaches Charles Kim, Steve Hearn, Al Richmond, Hyun Jin. Now therefore, we, the mayor and the city council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, do hereby recognize the 2025 Alpharetta Youth All-Star Baseball teams for their dedication and determination this season, and give thanks to the coaches and the parents who I know were there all the time and spent a great deal of time in those parks. We are grateful for it. So for their dedication and determination this season, and give thanks to the coaches and parents for guiding them through the season. So proclaimed this 23rd day of February 2026 by the mayor and the city council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia. So I'll present this to you, and we're going to try to fit all of you into a picture so that the paper can publish that for you.
Thank y'all. Congratulations.
Am I supposed to do this down here up at the desk?
Well, it's hard to beat that, but we do have some other really outstanding presentations. So I would like for Ms. Amanda, if you would like to come forward and recognize the presentation for Cambridge High School business students.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here tonight. I am just going to very briefly introduce our 2025-2026 Cambridge High School Ag Business student cohort, and they are going to share some great learnings and experience with you this evening.
Awesome. Thank you.
And sir, before you continue, do you mind to press the microphone on button? Yep. And just if you wouldn't mind repeating your first and last name, please.
Good evening. My name is Alex Tulipsky, and I'm a senior at Cambridge High School. I play varsity tennis for Cambridge, and next year I'll be studying business management at Georgia Southern University. Through the Ag Business program at Cambridge High School, I'm part of a business co-op called AgRedaBox. AgRedaBox is a student-led company founded in 2019 by the Cambridge High School Agribusiness Management and Leadership class. We go to Old Rucker Farm every day to learn about how to grow local produce, operate a business, and gather necessary skills to prepare us for future careers. Some of these skills include time management, communications, and cooperations. We sell weekly CSA boxes to the members of I don't know why it keeps going off. At the end of the year, the money that we earn will be split in half. Half of the money goes to support the next year's AgReda team, and the other half will be divided amongst us three for scholarship money. Well, within AgRedaBox, we each have different jobs. I'm in charge of marketing. I make and post different photos and graphics to our Instagram and Facebook pages. I inform our customers when the stores open, and I update customers on different activities and tasks we are doing that week through social media platforms. I've created t-shirts to work as a walking advertisement. We got some examples over here. If you want to grab the other one. Just look like this. But yeah, that's and through being in charge of marketing, I've learned to be more creative when it comes to the different ways I advertise our business. Now I'll be passing it to Tate to show you what he does at AgRedaBox.
Good evening. I'm gonna make sure this stays on. My name is Tate Bryant. I'm a senior at Cambridge High School as well. I played football in the fall, and I love to hunt, fish, and just be outdoors in general. I've been attending or in agriculture classes since I was a freshman, and I will be attending Georgia Southern University as well in the fall, majoring in construction management. Here at AgRedaBox, I am in charge of sales. So what that entails is I take inventory of all our produce. I create new items. I put them onto our online store. I take all our sales records. I compile them and keep track of them. And I facilitate discussions each week about what added value items and produce to include in our CSA boxes to sell to our customers. Over time, completing these tasks, I have become very efficient at them, learning the quickest and the best ways to do them all. But more importantly, through this opportunity at the farm, I have learned important time management, cooperation, and communication skills that I can carry with me for my future and my career. One specific example of a business skill that I've learned here at the farm is the importance of consistency throughout my job every day. If I complete my tasks each and every day, it's a small task, I can limit my workload and help around in other areas of AgRedaBox. But if I let it pile up on me and I'm not continually on it, it becomes a burden to all of us, and it limits sales and causes poor performance for all three of us. Another great part of this AgRedaBox program is our opportunity to change different aspects of it. One example of that is the shirt that we showed you earlier. Another is this giant blue box that we have. It's a reusable plastic tote that we put all our CSA produce in each week. Customers can bring it back, and it's just added to the value of our boxes each week. Through this, we've actually noticed a huge increase in our sales. We've met and exceeded the benchmarks that all of the other teams that have come through AgRedaBox. We've reached almost $4,000 in sales of produce as of this week, and we're not going to stop there. We're actually pushing to get $7,000 by the end, $7,000 worth of produce by the end of this school year. But above all, we just appreciate just the blessing that we get to be out in the field each morning, to be outside and get our hands dirty and get some hands-on work. With that, I'll pass it to Peyton to talk about his role in AgRedaBox.
Good evening. I am Peyton Runkle. I'm a senior at Cambridge High School as well. In the fall, I plan to go to the University of Mississippi and major in business administration. So with that, this opportunity of working on the farm has really just help me understand how a business runs and how I can manage it and keep track of everything we do out there. I've also been taking agriculture since freshman year with these two. So, my job at Agoretta Box is I'm in charge of communications and customer service. So every week I send out a stores open email. It'll include a bunch of cool little things, just a little get to know story, and it'll also include our items in the box this week or if we have new products for sale. I also help when customers have any questions about their orders gone through or what's new, how can I do this, respond to them, let them know how can we help, how they can change their situation. So with that, I have learned a lot at Agoretta Box. It has helped me with communications. English has never been a strong subject for me, so it was a big task to start. But with this, I've been able to experience and grow in my writing. So I've been able to write more professional, straight to the point, but also communicate with the customers properly and how they would like it, and that's helped a lot. And with learning, it's not only just classroom, like writing. We've also met a lot of great people, like Will Harris. We went to White Oak Pastures out in Bluffton, Georgia. And we've learned a lot about how we can change the land, become more organic, sustainable, and make the environment much better, which at Agoretta Box, everything's organic and we're sustainable, which those boxes are more sustainable than just getting the paper bags that we used to and just tossing them. We can keep reusing. So, with the people we've met, it's Will Harris. The places we've been, we went to White Oak Pastures, Mercedes-Benz Arena, which we met with this lady who's in charge of Young Farmers. She's part of it. And she showed us all around Mercedes-Benz Stadium how they reuse water, keep control of the greenery. They even have a small garden outside of the stadium, which nobody really knows about, which I thought was really interesting. So we learned a lot there. We also went to Botanical Gardens, which we picked up pumpkins, and me and Tate went out there. And it was a lot of work, but it was a blast. We got to see all the behind the scenes in Botanical Gardens, experience a lot of cool things that most people would never experience, and we get to through Agoretta Box. A lot of people have came out to the farm as well. We had a guy from Fresh Harvest, which is a website where you can purchase organic produce, and it will be delivered right to your doorstep in a box just like that. And he told us about these, and we worked off of that. And he came out and taught us all about customer service, communications, which was great for me because I needed a lot of help at the start of the year. That was great. A lot of people from UGA, soil samplers. The lady came out the other week and taught us all about how our soil, which Amanda is very happy about, it's 24% organic matter, which is unheard of. Most people strive for 4 or 5%, and it takes many of years. So that was a great experience to meet them. And another man, Mr. Jeff, he owns a mushroom farm in Milton, and he taught us all about the mushrooms, and we started growing our mushrooms, and they're in a few boxes, which was great. But with that, I want to end by saying thank you for all of y'all. We really appreciate y'all giving us experience. It's unique, one of a kind. Nobody in the country gets to experience what we do, and it's helpful for learning experiences for all of us. And I also want to say thank you to all the workers at the farm, like Amanda and all of them. They're great. Mr. Boland, our teacher, they help us with everything. So thank y'all.
Thank you. Does anyone from council have a question for the young men?
Just really impressive. I mean, you did a great job presenting. We've had adults, I've seen over the years, many adults present to me and not do really as good a job as you fellows did. So best of luck to you next year, and thank you for what you do for our community.
Thank you.
Thank you. We also have a little gift for y'all. So from our farm, we have some fresh grown salsa, or tomatillos that we made salsa verde with. So we have a little gift for each of y'all up here that we'll hand
From
out.
the Alpharetta High School culinary group, I want to say thank you to them as well.
Yeah,
We
they
give
help
them
make it.
produce, and they make it for us.
I'm going to pass that at the end.
Give me a few.
Hopefully we have enough for all of y'all.
Over here.
And Mr. Mayor, if we could have them take a photo in front of the dais, I know their teachers would appreciate that. Oh, gentlemen, would you like to take a picture right here in front of the dais? Oh, yep. Uh-huh.
All right, next up on our agenda will be the presentation for the Atlanta Regional Commission Award to the City of Alpharetta for Old Rucker Farm.
I can't just let that end without saying how proud we are of these students.
Sure.
So proud from not only the work that they do, but their presentation tonight. I mean, just very, very proud of them. So, you guys did a great job. You're welcome. So next, I'm really excited tonight to have Jillian Porter Wilson with us tonight from the Atlanta Regional Commission to present some exciting, an exciting award to our program. Come on up, Jillian. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and thank you, Amanda. I feel like these young gentlemen did all the talking for me because I was just going to stand up here and talk about how amazing an Old Rucker Farm is. But let me go back to October 24th, 2025. This is a tad late to be in front of you guys, but I'm so excited to say that the Atlanta Regional Commission at our State of the Region gave Alpharetta, City of Alpharetta, and Amanda and the Old Rucker Farm, and the broader Alpharetta community an award called Great Places for Old Rucker Farm. Amanda asked me to come out here tonight to talk a little bit about why this was chosen as the Great Places Award. And out of 26 nominations, I think the jury knew from the beginning, without even seeing the rest of them, that this is a very unique project and it was going to receive an award of some sort. And I'm so happy it got Great Places. At Atlanta Regional Commission, we find this award, specifically Great Places, to be extremely meaningful. This is something that's far different than what we call our innovative developments or our visionary planning. Great Places to us is something that's inspiring, that gets people together as a community, that either can employ people, get people to go out in nature, or even provide housing of some nature. And this right here does a lot for your community. Amanda very gracefully let us have a meeting at the farm. I host a committee called the Land Use Coordinating Committee, and we invited a bunch of planners and community development staff from across the region, so Forsyth, Rockdale, Henry County. We invited them to Old Rucker Farm, and we talked about city agriculture planning, and specifically the work they're doing with the Old Rucker Farm, and no one has seen anything like that anywhere across the region. So you really have something special, and so I am beyond honored to also hear the amazing stuff that's happening right now at the farm, but to also give you an award honoring the great place that you have here in the city of Alpharetta. So that's about it for me. I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
Amanda, you have to take this opportunity to brag on yourself and farm.
You have to brag on yourself. It's your opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Jillian. Thank you to the ARC for nominating and awarding Old Rucker Farm in the city of Alpharetta the Great Place Award. It means a lot to us to be recognized on such a large scale, on a regional scale. We're really proud of what we do. As a city, we're really proud of Old Rucker Farm, and it's really a beautiful thing to be recognized in the region. So thank you. Thank you.
And I would like to add, this is the only project of this nature that's been given an award by the Atlanta Regional Commission. I think this is the first farm at all to be given an award. So really, this is amazing. And I hope to see more concepts like this across the region, because being able to educate and feed people is extremely important. So I love this, and I'm so happy that we were able to give this to you and that the jury chose right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Amanda. So the next item up on our agenda is the presentation for the State Road 400 Express Lanes project. Representatives from Georgia Express Lanes SR 400 and SR 400 Peach Partners are going to present an update regarding the upcoming Georgia 400 roadway improvements. Gentlemen, you have the floor.
How are y'all?
Doing well.
Fired up.
Wasn't expecting that.
No, sir, me neither. It always changes on us. Got a bunch of them. There we go. All right, well, good afternoon.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. First and foremost, just want to say thank you for the invitation to come before you guys this afternoon, give you a quick update on the State Route 400 project. My name is Bo Quarles. I'm the GDOT project manager for the project. Along with me is
Javier Gutierrez, CEO for SR 400 Peach Partners.
Yeah. So today we're just going to kind of walk you through a high-level overview of the project scope, project timeline, and some upcoming activities within the city of Alpharetta city limits along the corridor. All right. First and foremost, just want to do a quick introduction to our P3 partners. The State Route 400 Express Lanes project is being delivered by the state's developer partner, State Route 400 Peach Partners, LLC, as a public-private partnership, or P3, who will be responsible for design, construction, and all operations and maintenance throughout the corridor for a 56-year term. The State Route 400 Peach Partners is a consortium comprised of Meridian, ACS Infrastructure, and Oceana Concessions. So what that means is State Route 400 Express Peach Partners is made up of industry experts that has the expertise in delivering complex multi-year contracts, transportation projects. So for a quick overview of the project scope, this is a design, build, finance, operate, and maintain a DBF OEM is what we refer to it. So that, once again, that means the developer is responsible for operations and maintenance, fence to fence, or right-of-way to right-of-way throughout the corridor. For that it's a 50-year term after construction is finished. So this is the first of its kind in Georgia. We're really excited about it. It's a massive project, one of the biggest in the country. So scope is adding 16 miles of optional express lanes from North Springs MARTA Station to McFarland Parkway. There'll be 2 express lanes in each direction between North Springs MARTA Station and McGinnis Ferry Road, and then 1 express lane in each direction from McGinnis Ferry to McFarland Parkway. The project will also include dedicated MARTA Bus Rapid Transit, or BRTs, as MARTA's preferred alternative high-capacity transit. So part of our project scope is we will be building out or providing substantial infrastructure improvements to facilitate those BRTs throughout the project. And we are scheduled to open in 2031, February 2031. And Javier here has told me we're going to make it earlier. So we'll see.
We'll make it on time.
There you go. So here's a diagram, 2 diagrams illustrating current baseline access maps for the express lanes and that MARTA BRT. So during the procurement phase and through a series of alternative technical concepts, ATCs, State Route 400 Peach Partners were able to provide an additional two new direct connections, which are from interchanges, to the express lanes, and those are represented in the yellow dots, and then 9 additional express lane connections or merge points throughout the express lanes along the corridor, and those are represented in the blue dots from that figure to the left. So looking at the baseline bus rapid transit map on the right, we'll be constructing 2 BRT stations along the corridor. The first one's at Holcomb Bridge Road, and the second one's at North Point Mall. So the project will provide direct express lane connections at Windward Parkway Park and Ride and North Springs MARTA Station. So 2 of the lanes of the express lane, one in each direction, will double as dedicated BRT lanes as well. So I'll let Javier jump in here and talk about the financing of the project.
Thank you, Bo. And thank you for having me here. And just to add on the previous comments from Bo, I think probably everybody here is glad that the project definitively is happening. It's a project that was due a long time ago. And after a failed procurement initially in 21, I think the DOT was incredibly agile in order to make it turn around and change the way the project was going to be procured. We are very happy that happened, so we are here thanks to that. But I've seen in many other states when a project goes down for whatever reason, it takes them years and years to make that happen. So, and seeing the corridor in 400, this project is needed. The congestion is incredible, and we are really happy to be here. So, going to the details on the funds for the project, we have raised finance for 2 sources: the private activity bonds, $3.4 billion, and $3.9 billion from TIA, that is a federal loan. So we'll have to return those loans through the term of the contract, that, as Bob said, is the 5 years of construction plus the 50 years operation and maintenance and collected tolls. And also there is equity from the 3 sponsors that Bob mentioned. That is another $3.4 billion. In order to get us here from when we were awarded the project, that was in August 2024, we closed the contract in November the same year. And obviously we had to raise the finance in that next year. We could finance August last year. And in order to get us from those dates to today, there was a $120 million that the DOT provided to us in order to start the design and not lose those 12 months waiting for the funds to come. So that has been good. We are not in a position where we are about to start the project. We'll give more details on that later on. Those are the sources of the project. The uses are going to be, most of it is going to be construction. Well, half of it is 4.7 billion is going to be dedicated for construction right away, ITS and the toll collection back office and so forth. $3.8 billion have been paid to the state as an upfront payment. That was part of the procurement process. And those funds, the DOT is committed to invest those in the 400 corridor. So that will be good monies to be able to improve all the infrastructure around the 400. That's great. And the rest is financing costs during construction and bidding costs.
All right, so here, just a high-level timeline of where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. You know, the procurement's been going on for multiple years, and during that time too, we've been acquiring right-of-way throughout the corridor, going through our environmental processes. So one thing is the project was awarded in August 15 of 2024. In December 24, we issued Peach Partners their first notice to proceed, or NTP1. And what that does, it kicks off early works for the developer, allows them to go out and do some subsurface investigations, geotechnical surveying, utility verification during that time. And also in that process, getting their team geared up, going through a lot of management plans, just a lot of administrative work that's required in order to start construction. I mean, it's a big task. And in April of 25, we issued the second notice to proceed, NTP2, and that really kicks off official design. The design's been going on during that whole procurement process, but this is really their official start, just really packaging everything up to the department for acceptance. And it also allows early works, some early construction works, which is tree clearing, which back in last year, September, October, we started clearing trees throughout the corridor in certain locations, very strategic locations. and also allows us to do some early utility relocations. And we're anticipating issuing an NTP3, which kicks off official construction here in the next 2 months, month to 2 months. So what's next? What to expect? So as I was saying just a few seconds ago, during that process for tree clearing, we've really, the developer strategically got 3 locations for early works, early construction works. The projects, it is divided into 3 zones. So just think of it as 3 separate projects going on at one time. It's such a big undertaking. So segment A is from North Springs MARTA Station to Chattahoochee Bridge. Segment B, Holcomb Bridge to Old Milton. Segment C, McGinnis Ferry up to Shiloh Road. So we've identified those 3 areas, initial construction packages, we refer to them as ICPs, starting there in the yellow, as you see on the graph there. It's around the Spalding Drive area. The other one's at Holcomb Bridge, and then just north of McGinnis Ferry up to the Shiloh Road. And by the end of the year, we'll have construction along the whole corridor. So what is in it for Alpharetta? When's it coming to your area? So the McGinnis Ferry, we're just north of you guys, right there. That's the cutoff, right? But we are anticipating sometime middle to late summer for construction to start heavy construction in the Alpharetta area along the corridor between Winsale Road and McGinnis Ferry. Let's say mid to late summer. And as we approach closer to those dates, we'll be doing a lot of coordination, Pete and his team, and you guys to give the updates and to get that information out to the public as well as early notices once we get those schedules tightened up. Clearing activities will resume starting March 1st along the corridor. So expect to see the guys that are cutting some more trees and hauling trees off. We are working with all the cities and counties along the corridor for when we have anticipated lane closures along the corridor just to inform the public. So we'll continue doing that through the process. And the main goal, or our goal is during construction, is to try to have as much work as we can behind temporary barrier. It's safer for the workers and it's less disruption to the traveling public as well. So here's just an illustration or a rendering just south of McGinnis Ferry. This is showing the express lanes going down the center of State Route 400, going elevated along some MSC walls there, and then going outwards with some bridge structures along some straddle bents, getting you up and over the general purpose lanes, tying in, getting access in and out of or to the express lanes from McGinnis Ferry Road. So next are 2 little renderings, just kind of going back to the BRT stations. The one on the left, you got Windward Parkway, the way it is now, the existing condition. And then below that is going to be this illustration of the final configuration, once again getting traffic from the express lanes from the center to that park and ride lot for the MARTA buses and for express lane users. And on the right, we have a rendering of the BRT station at Holcomb Bridge Road. Our scope for that is to build out the platforms. It's really just building the main infrastructure there to accommodate the BRTs. That's just a quick rendering of the MARTA buses going in and out of that station there. And that is all I have for you, unless you have anything else, Javier.
Just a few comments. As you've seen, we are going to be under construction in the whole corridor at the end of the year, so it's going to be interesting, and we really are sorry for the pain that we are going to cause during the next 5 years, but from my experience, I've been in similar projects in other states. It's worth it. At the end of the day, we will be not only providing the express lanes for those who choose to use them and go at a minimum of 55 miles per hour. That is one of our only contractual obligations, is to keep the express lanes at an average of 55 miles per hour or more. Actually, half of the road will be posted at 70, the other half at 65 for design conditionings. And what we've experienced in other projects in similar corridors with the same congestion is not only you provide that option for the people to use the lanes, we will be displaying whoever chooses to use the express lanes or not will be based on the rate that they see before making the decision. There will be plenty of accesses directly from some interchanges or through the direct connection from what we call the general purpose lanes. And what we've seen is not only that the express lanes are there for whoever wants to take them, but what we call the general purpose lanes will be maintaining the same capacity as there is today, improving because it's going to be a new road. So the 4 lanes will be still there for free. And what we've seen is improvement in around 25% of travel times also in the 3 lanes. So we are sorry for the pain that we are going to cause, but I'm sure it's going to be worth it for the next 50 years. Thank you for having us. Any questions?
Councilman Dorito?
Mr. Quarles and Mr. Gutierrez, thanks for your presentation, coming here this evening. I've not really discussed this project in public or in detail since I'm sure discussions on this is happening for quite some years now. Could you tell me what's the impetus behind this project?
Excuse me, sorry?
What's the impetus? Like, what's the business case for this project?
This
is the growth of the region? I mean,
this is all private risk investments. We are investing, raising the funds. The construction risk is all on the developer side, and we recover our investment through the tolls.
that's not my question. What is the business case for the project? Meaning, why are we doing this? I know you're going to make money on it over 30 years or 50 years, whatever the time frame is. I get it. Private investment, you're going to recoup it through the tolls that are eventually going to be imposed on our drivers along the corridor. What's the reason for the project, other than, obviously, you're in business to make a profit from this project over the many years you'll be managing it, but I guess this might be a question for GDOT. I don't know. Like, why are we doing this? Because this is a very significant expanse. As you said, the state's biggest project, right?
Correct.
I'm trying to understand, like, why are we doing it? Like, what's the cause for this biggest project in the state to interrupt Alpharetta's traffic and our ability to have a comfortable life in Alpharetta?
Sure.
Up for 5 years of construction.
Probably not going to be able to answer your question directly, but what I can say is that the department saw a need for the project, put the project out for procurement, and then procured the developer, Stanford 400 Peach Partners. So I think that might be more a discussion to take maybe offline with GDOT management.
Okay. The second question I have is, you showed some pictures, renditions of, I mean, the massive amount of lanes you're going to put in along the 400 corridor. My concern is, and I want to understand what the plan is, to protect the nature of the corridor, the trees. My biggest complaint from my constituents right now is they think the city's doing it. Why are you tearing down all the trees along the corridor? I say it's a GDOT project, whatever. What is the plan to replenish some of the landscaping that's literally being torn down along both sides of 400 right now? And then we're going to put up privacy walls and barriers. And I mean, who's focused on the aesthetics of maintaining some sense of Alpharetta being a welcoming community with trees, I mean, I don't want to see a bunch of walls along between, the city of Alpharetta. We've worked really hard as a city to maintain a sense of welcoming coming into our city. You come into Alpharetta, we have a lot of green space along the corridor. We've been many councils even before me have worked real hard on the pin corners along the ingress and egress points onto 400 in Alpharetta to make sure we don't put up box structures and things that visually is not welcoming to our city and doesn't represent the brand or the value of the city that we want to present to the public. So what's the plan to either replenish those trees or create some sense of, maintaining the environment in Alpharetta that many councils and many volunteers in the city have worked so hard to maintain?
Sure. So as for the tree clearing, currently the department, along with its developer, is during the process, we procured right-of-way for the project, for the need. We're currently still procuring some right-of-way along the corridor. But we bought property or right-of-way that was needed for the project, for the footprint of the project. So the clearing you're seeing going on now is there to accommodate what's being built. Nothing less, nothing more. As far as aesthetics throughout the corridor, we do have an intergovernmental agreement, IGA, with the city of Alpharetta that details certain hardscapes that the developer, adhere to when it comes to the structures along bridge structures, the finishes along those bridges like you see throughout 400 already. So as for the landscaping, I don't have that part familiarized. It's a massive contract, so I'm not sure if we have any sort of landscaping requirements in those interchange areas. But I will say like I said, for the bridge aesthetics, we do have those requirements. For the noise walls, that's still ongoing. That will be hopefully completed by the end of this year. We have to go through that environmental process. There's outreach associated with that. There's a voting process that goes along with it. But we also do have aesthetic requirements for those walls as well.
I mean, you do know that what you just said is basically telling the city, we haven't thought about the landscape plan, but we don't, my perception, we don't care about the landscape plan or the aesthetics of the corridor that you're putting in place. You're focused on making sure that you make the profit back to cover the investment that your equity partners and yourself and organization is going to invest in the project on top of 3-point-something billion from the federal government loan and 120 million from GDOT, which is basically our tax dollars as well. So I would highly recommend, because when this project really gets going, we're going to get all the complaints, that you have some sense of protection plan for our landscaping through the Alpharetta corridor. And I would suspect our sister cities would want the same thing. But because when I go down 400 today and I see those tree cutting, it makes me almost tear up, seeing what's being done. And I'm thinking, how did this get approved? How did this get approved? And it's the state. I get it. We don't have authority over the state or GDOT or what they're doing along the corridor 400, but we certainly have a voice. And I'm going to be very loud and ask you to protect our green space in Alpharetta as you unfold this project over the next 5 or 6, and it's probably be 7 or 8 years by the time you're done. We're just getting over the Route 9 project for how many years, Mayor? I don't know how many years that our citizens put up with it. Now we're going to have it on Georgia 400, a major corridor in our city to get people in and out of our city. And I just think, a little care, caution. Profit should be the last thing on the end of your list. It should be doing it right, making sure you protect our interests, because we have to live here, we have to raise our families here. And that's all I'll say.
Councilwoman Reeves?
Thank you for the presentation. It is going to turn our lives upside down up here. It is, and I'm not sure everybody totally understands that. Do you have a timeline on when some key things like the bridge on Webb Bridge are getting done, which is also connected to that Trade Winds Parkway? I think that is going to be hugely impactful for both sides of Alpharetta and for our fire and police services. And I was wondering, A, what's the timeline on that? I would really love to be able to tell the constituents when that's going to happen so they're not completely taken by surprise, and what the communication piece is going to be, and and what the plans are, because how long is that going to be out of commission?
Sure. So I don't have that answer today. They are still, the developer and their construction joint venture is still developing their full-blown construction schedule along the corridor. But once we do have that, there'll be close coordination with the city of Alpharetta, Fulton County, Forsyth, all the stakeholders along the corridor for that communication effort.
Sure.
So the experience with the city, not you personally, maybe a different project manager, is that the projects sometimes get really hung up by, coordination of utilities and sequencing of this project for the crossroads in Alpharetta is really critical because it's not only north and south on 400, it's those crossroads. So, everything, a lot of people's lives are going to be touched by this project. So I would love reassurance that there's the kind of coordination that we haven't always seen with the utility companies so that a bridge is not down for a long time and somebody says, why? Well, we're still waiting on utilities.
Sure.
So I think a lot of communication is going to be necessary with that. And when you design it, because you're design, when you design it, please look to minimizing those efforts that are going to actually divide our city in half. So that is really important for us to keep some semblance of normalcy within the city, even though 400 is going to be disrupted.
Any other questions from council? Councilman Brady?
Thank you so much for your presentation. I thought it was kind of great to get this information. I've been kind of tracking the project because we have a piece of property right on the highway, so it's gone through this for a few years. So I really have two questions maybe you can share with everyone. One is I was kind of happy with Peach Partners recently, is communication, right? This has been out there for a while, understanding what the design is, and you're absolutely right. We're a benefactor of 4 exits along 400, about to be 5. So it does, have a lot of significance to us. And my question really is, what is the communication going to be like kind of going forward? And I'll give you an example. One was mine recently, understanding with the trees, the clearing, the grubbing that you're currently seeing now. You're seeing those in certain parts. In sound walls, right, when does something go up? That obviously if you're right on there and the trees are taking down, that buffer of noise and light and everything becomes very much noticeable. So timing's a big thing. So because of that, I was digging in more and more to understand what those impacts are. So from Peach Partners and your partner DOT, you explain to people like what kind of communication we can kind of have, or as the community has, as these things come up, where do you post them? Where do we go? How do we get in communication? You've had people now that you've assigned for the area, so you don't mind sharing that. And next, number 2 question is $11 billion for 25%. Talk a little bit about the scale of this project, because I think 1.2 is what you did at the interchange of 400 and 285 for a 12% improvement in traffic. That's an amazing. We're lucky to have it. I guess it's going to be painful going through it, but we're lucky to kind of have an improvement in efficiency in the area. So, thank you.
All right, so for the communication, looking at your screen here, we put on all the projects. We have a project website where citizens can go out, they can subscribe and get all the alerts, all the notifications. As I said earlier, once we start getting a little closer, we know the schedules, we know where we're going to be working at. We will be working with all the stakeholders, cities, counties, fire, emergency, everybody, to send those notifications out to let them know what our plan is, right? So with that too, we set up monthly meetings with all the stakeholders as well, just kind of go through what's happened this week, what have you heard from your citizens, any complaints, what can we do better, and give you a forecast of that next month too. So we have continuous outreach along the corridor. For the tree clearing, for example, if there's a neighborhood along the corridor that's going to have some tree cutting in their backyard, front yard or whatever, they're going to see the noise. We get folks boots on the ground to go out and do door hangers. We send out postcards to as many folks as we possibly can, just to say, hey, trying to be good neighbor, right? That we will be working here in the area. It may be disruptive for a night or two or for a week. Just trying to give them the heads up. So that's our plan. Over communicate is our goal. So that's one thing we'll push a lot of information over to the city's communication individual as well, where you guys can blast that out to whatever your social medias, on your websites. That way they can see everything as well too, right? And try to arm you all with the most up-to-date information that we have. And so, like I said, we'll be in constant coordination with the city. So if we're doing anything wrong or we need to do anything better, please let us know. That way we can adjust. We're going to make mistakes along the way. We all do. But we're going to learn from those and try to, once again, deliver the best project you've had along the corridor in your area.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, a couple of things. One was a notice. Coming home from the airport yesterday around 5:30, traffic was backed up farther than I've ever seen it. And the driver that we use on a regular basis said, when you get up there, you're going to see 4 lanes closed, 2 on each side of 75 going north to change light bulbs. And the thought was, are we thinking ahead as to if the entire length, you put it in 3 sections, are we going to shut down lanes in all 3 sections at the same time? Or are we going to offer some relief by closing one section for that construction? You know what I'm saying? There's got to be a break somewhere in there. If we go down to 2 lanes each way for the whole length of that corridor, we might be afraid to come in here Monday night.
Our plan is to keep the general purpose lanes, the 4 lanes that you have today throughout construction during the day, during peak hours, almost most of the time. There is a big incentive for our contractor to do that, so we have lane rental charges, and they are very high. Most of the lane closures that will be impactful will be done during the night, so I don't think you will see the 400 in 2 lanes during the day at all, or at least very few times throughout the 5 years. So normally we'll be keeping the same capacity with some reduced width lanes. Instead of the 12 foot, we'll be going to 11, reducing some of the shoulders, but we'll be keeping most of it as it is today in terms of number of lanes, and mainly during the peak times for sure and throughout the day. Big closures for bridge beam erections and pavement will be done most during the night.
So that's my second question. Typically going to be around the clock, 24?
Yeah, we'll be working 24/7.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Hypes?
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you, and I don't envy you. For those of us who've been up here for a while and don't have short memories, I still remember the orange barrels being on 400 for an interminable amount of time. And I remember when the presentations were being made long before I was on council, but being represented, that was going to solve our traffic woes. I don't know if they said for the next 50 years, Javier, but they said for the next long time. So I don't think we're more than, 15 years removed from the last orange barrel cycle. So I think 50 years of induced demand where people are going to build up in Hall County and further north and fill up this road project, I think 50 years is way overly optimistic. But this is a work session, and I wanted to share some things. I just want to echo my fellow council members. I think we've got a little bit of a crisis of confidence with the state DOT. And I know that's a vast organization, and just because we did a state road up here, the state did, and this is a different animal altogether. I think the state road, Highway 9, has shaken the confidence of the DOT up here because of how long it has taken. It doesn't matter who's wrong or who's responsible. It doesn't matter if it's utility companies or right-of-way. A project shouldn't take that long, and a project that starts somewhere in a city south of us and goes mid-county north of us and is under construction all at the same time and never ends, I think it's a source of frustration for the people of Alpharetta. And to echo the Mayor Pro Tem's comments about all of this being under construction at one time, I don't have any illusion anything I say up here is going to change the construction schedule. But we want you to understand that when all these segments are being worked on simultaneously and being shut down, there may be some people up here this summer wanting to a World Cup game. They may not get there on time. There's a lot of people who want to get to the airport on time, and they may not get there on time. So your sensitivity to the residents up here, that you're trying to make our lives better, just, that sensitivity is important. One of the things that's, some of the earliest meetings I had an opportunity to sit in on this project a few years ago are the sound barriers. I would love it if we could have local input into the sound barriers. If we had any input whatsoever on whether or not a sound barrier should go up or not go up, and if it does go up, what it looks like. Because to my fellow council members' points, these are 4 of the finest looking intersections in the state of Georgia. And partly because a lot of money has been invested by local businesses through the CID to beautify that corridor. And y'all gonna come in and rip up that corridor that's been so beautified. And it signaled a place of arrival. You have arrived somewhere when you got north of Mansell Road up through Windward. And we're proud of that. So, sound barriers are going to make it ugly. Going to make it industrial ugly. Going to go from beautiful to ugly. And anything we can do to have input as the mouthpieces for our residents to funnel information to you and negotiate to the extent possible would be deeply appreciated, especially on the sound barriers. I mean, I'm asking for something specific and tangible. And whether you can accommodate us or not, I don't know. That is a question there at the end after that soapbox speech.
We follow federal process for all these jobs. That's about the only response I can really give you. And there is, like, once again, it's a voting process too for the noise wall locations, right? So that goes to those affected residents where those benefit receptors are, and they have that vote for yay or nay of a noise wall. The businesses as well, it's got to be a 51% of a yes in order to install that noise wall in those locations. And that's all federal and state guidelines.
Well, we've all seen different finishes, the big metal walls that are just sort of a taupe tan color, some that have the architectural block. If you're coming through an area that's already had a lot of investment in the area to beautify it, I think it's worth considering whether or not we should have something commensurate.
I can take that back.
Councilwoman Reeves.
Just a quick follow-up. I know your hands are tied by federal guidelines, but we have a private partner on this, so maybe.
Still same requirements.
Councilman Driscoll, come on.
Thank you for being here this evening. I will reiterate where Councilman Hype said, I don't envy you in this position that you're in. 50 years is a long time. I think that what you've probably heard here tonight is most are concerned with the next 5 years and how to navigate through it. So communication is key. Know that we're all here to help get any information that we can out so that we can keep everybody up to date on what's going on and just help it move as smooth as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah. We appreciate that, and as Bo has said, we have a big communication team. Half of it is here today, and our goal is to over-communicate and to be upfront and make sure that everybody is aware what's going to happen before it happens. Avoid as many complaints as possible by giving the information to the relevant people and providing with information to the people that can distribute it as soon as we are aware and ahead of time to make sure that everybody is aware what's coming. So construction is construction. There's going to be impacts, but our goal is to make sure that we communicate those impacts as soon as we can for everybody to be ready.
Okay. Well, I think you have communicated, and you've communicated well. I mean, you've relayed the concerns that you and our constituents have. I will say, because I know you don't make those decisions, neither one of you do. I mean, you're helping to facilitate what the state DOT and the people who direct the state I mean DOT, told you are necessary. And I don't know how many of you have been up past Chestatee and up in North Georgia lately. But the reason they're doing this is because people are moving further north. I know, but I just want to say what he wasn't able to say because that's a policy question. And I know, we've been talking about this for a long time. You go up north, and I've seen the most incredible Publix I've ever seen in the world in a place that I didn't even know existed. I mean, demographically, the center of gravity of Metro Atlanta used to be downtown Atlanta. It's been creeping up Georgia 400 for decades already, since Alpharetta was 3,000 people in 1980. The reason they're doing all of this is because it's not going to stay this way. They're trying to be ahead of it instead of being behind like typically the state of Georgia was. You know, look at what's going on I-20 going east. Wouldn't they have loved to have started that about 10 or 20 years ago before it became a disaster area in that interchange? So I think they have demographically and through very careful logistics and everything decided if we don't get ahead of this, we're going to be playing catch up for decades to come. And so I think we do have valid points about the things we can do about it, but it also, at the same time, we're also trying to attract an arena. We'd love to have a hockey team here in the city of Alpharetta, and a big carrot to dangle for someone who might want to bring an NHL team to the city of Alpharetta is the fact that MARTA can get to North Point and bus rapid transit. But once again, going to the concerns about concrete and things like that, if you don't stack those bridges over the existing lanes, how are you going to do it? You're not going to take out all of those office buildings and all of those schools that are in the right of way that it would take to, and we wouldn't want to anyway. So, I mean, I am sympathetic to the challenges you face, and I hope you will be as sensitive as you possibly can. I trust Pete and his team to negotiate and have these conversations. I know that Javier is building a house in Alpharetta, so he's going to have to suffer through anything that we're having to suffer through. That gives me a little comfort. And our residents are bumping into him at a restaurant or a grocery store every once in a while if we get it wrong. But I just say that because I think everyone made good points and there's concerns. But also look at what happened to the city of Roswell a few decades ago when GDOT said, hey, they're going to be building Georgia 400 when nobody thought we needed Georgia 400. They used to laugh. The locals would sit out there on the side of the road when they were filming Smokey and the Bandit because nobody was on Georgia 400 at the time. And Roswell's leadership at that time, they were offered 3 or 4 exits on Georgia 400. And the reason they're not a commercial center like Alpharetta is now is because they declined. They didn't want to take any. And GDOT forced them to take Holcomb Bridge as an interchange there. So I'm not saying it's a great project. It's not going to change us in some ways. But if we don't get ahead of it, we're going to be behind it. And so we're going to try to do the best we can to partner with you and make it as successful and as painless as possible. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the next item up on our agenda this evening is the consent agenda. Consent agenda consists of the City Council Planning Retreat Day #1 minutes from the meeting of January 16th, 2026. The City Council Planning Retreat Day #2 minutes, meeting of January 17th, 2026. The City Council meeting minutes from the meeting of January 28th, 2026. And the City Council meeting minutes from the meeting of February 2nd, 2026. Also includes the warranty deed and trail easement, dedication for 306 Thompson Street, the right-of-way and stormwater easements and agreement, and private development agreement for Charlotte Drive, Verdant Development. Is there anyone who would like to remove anything from the consent agenda this evening? Seeing none, Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards?
Not for this item, sir.
However, if anyone would like to speak about the consent agenda, now's your chance. I don't see anyone coming forward, so we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I offer a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented this evening.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel. I think the second was Councilman Brady by a hair. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes or the consent agenda, please vote yes. Do we have 2 abstentions?
Oh, I hit the wrong button.
Did we lose Councilman Driscoll?
Yes, we did.
You want to vote on this?
Consent agenda?
No.
There we go. All right. So it does pass. So now we'll move on to the public hearing portion of tonight's meeting, and I will turn the floor over to Ms. Molly Eswine, our city attorney, so she can announce the public procedure hearings.
An individual requesting to be heard on a matter related to the purpose of the hearing must be recognized by the mayor before addressing the city council. Upon rising to speak, the speaker must identify himself or herself and furnish a home or business address before proceeding with any comments or remarks. The council will allow proponents a total of 10 minutes to speak in support of an application. Opponents will be allowed 10 minutes to speak in opposition. Comments are accepted first from the applicant, followed by persons speaking in favor, and then from those in opposition. Upon conclusion of any opposing comments or presentations, the mayor will allow the applicant to offer a rebuttal if any time is remaining in the originally allotted 10 minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Eswine. The first item up on public hearing is MP-26-02 Lakeview Park, MP/Trayton Homes. Mr. Woodman, I believe you've got the floor on this item.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The item before you this evening is a request from TPA Group. They're requesting a master plan amendment in order to exchange 200,000 square feet of office for 52 for-sale dwelling units. That would consist of 25 for-sale single-family detached homes and 27 for-sale townhomes. That's on a 6.5-acre site in the Lakeview Park mixed-use development, which is also a master plan. The master plan amendment is requested to allow the proposed change in development mix. And I have the location map on the overhead. This property is 0 Lakeview Parkway, located at the southeast corner of Lakeview Parkway and Lake Street. So this property here, this is the Colonial Pipeline office development to the west. Property is zoned MU, it's mixed use. It's also located in the North Point overlay. Comprehensive land use plan designation of the property is also mixed use, which does support the proposed change to development mix. Bring you back to the current entitlement on the property. So this is the plan that was approved on the property in 2019. There were previous plans that were approved on this property that go all the way back to 1988. The original, I believe, may have been referred to as Peridot. After that, MetLife owned the property, and there was a plan under MetLife that was in 2011, 2015. I believe TPA came into the fold in 2019, and this is the current plan approved for the property. There's just under 32,000 square feet of retail restaurant uses approved within this development. That retail environment is here at the corner of Haynesbridge and Lakeview Parkway. The 255 rental units in the apartment structure is here. There is also first floor retail, restaurant, and office uses within that building. In this plan, there were a total of 315 residential units approved, 255 apartment units, and 64 sale townhomes. The density on that residential was 5.04 dwelling units per acre, and that's over the full 62.5-acre property that represents the Lakeview Park mixed-use development. There was also 630,000 square feet of office that was approved within this development. That includes the subject property, the 6.5-acre parcel here. There was about 200,000 square foot office building proposed on that property. The Colonial Pipeline office that was developed in this master plan that's existing, as well as the adjacent office building. This property is owned by Third and Urban, but is part of the mixed-use development. There's about 275,000 square feet of office that's been constructed within the mixed-use development existing today, and there's an additional 150,000 square foot office building that was proposed up at Lakeview and Morrison Parkway within the mixed-use development. Of course, it is zoned MU, so we do have minimum percentages for residential, that's 25%. Minimum percentage of office is also 25%, and there's a minimum 10% of commercial. With the applicant's proposed change to reduce office and increase residential, they still do comply with the minimum requirements in our zoning district. This is the applicant's proposed site plan. I'll utilize the color site plan. It's just a little bit visually easier to see. Site plan depicts 25 detached homes along Lake Street. Townhomes are proposed interior to the site, as well as 2 buildings along a small segment of Lake Street that goes back to Lakeview Parkway. The homes are oriented to Lake Street, so all the units, townhomes and homes, are rear-loaded, so they have rear-loaded garages. They are all 3 stories, the homes and the townhomes, approximately 22 foot wide. The units have access from a series of streets and alleys within the development. There's a 35-foot setback along Lake Street and a 65-foot setback from the development from Lakeview Parkway. UDC parking regulations and the North Point overlay require 105 parking spaces for this development. Each of the homes and townhomes will have 2 side-by-side parking spaces in a garage, as well as 2 spaces on a code-compliant driveway, for a total of 208 parking spaces. There are additional 24 guest spaces within the development. There's, that's in addition to the 208 parking spaces provided at each of the units. And then the applicant, as part of conditions of zoning, there's a condition of zoning recommended by staff that on-street parking be added to this section of Lakeview Parkway. There's already on-street parking here, but additional on-street parking be added here. And the applicant did provide a site plan, which was emailed to you, received over the weekend. And just demonstrating that they're able to add on-street parking here, they added a total of 17 additional on-street parking spaces between this development and Colonial Park Pipeline. The overall master plan includes about 32 acres of open space. This residential development, this proposed residential subdivision, would add an additional 1.3 acres of amenity space for these future residents. The amenity space depicted here, there's linear open space along Lakeview Parkway and Lake Street. There's a central community amenity area located at the center of the development as well. Of course, this property had already been cleared and graded with the installation of the infrastructure, the streets within this mixed-use development. So there are no trees to be saved on the property except for existing trees along Lakeview Parkway, which will be saved. And then there's a master stormwater system that supports the entire mixed-use development. I won't go into a lot of detail about the rendering. I don't want to take away from the applicant's presentation, but these are some of the renderings and visuals that the applicant provided to depict the townhomes and detached homes. The builder, again, Trayton Homes. So this is a townhome building, of course. Your detached homes. And they would give you there's quite a few side elevations, which we do have a condition to deal with the side elevations that face the street, but they should provided a side elevation to demonstrate that they can add additional detailing on the sides. And this is the development in a different type of software. View of the development from Lake Street. I believe this is looking down into the development from Lakeview Parkway. Same there. And this is more of a bird's eye view of the development from Lakeview Parkway. The applicant did provide a trip generation report for the 52 for-sale units. Estimated that it would generate approximately 35 a.m. peak hour trips and 41 p.m. peak hour trips. When that's compared to the 200,000 square foot office building, the residential development would result in a reduction of 209 a.m. peak hour trips and 188 p.m. peak hour trips. And then looking at the review criteria for the master plan amendment, we believe the proposal is compatible with the use and development of adjacent properties, which are developed as a mixed-use development. For-sale residential use is already allowed within the Lakeview Park master plan. The for-sale townhomes were already approved. And the proposed density is below the maximum density permitted in the MU district and less than the density approved in the 2017 as well as the 2015 master plan amendments on this property. The proposal would bring additional housing, bringing people closer to goods and services and where they work, without significant impacts on public facilities and services. The applicant did provide a citizen participation report indicating that they had not received any feedback except for at the CZIM meeting. Some of the questions they received at CZIM included what happens to the office building, will sidewalks remain? They wanted to know if this was a for sale or for rent product, square footage and price points, what the amenities would be, timing of the development, and stormwater questions. And at the CZIM on January 14th, there were no public comments left on the sign-in sheets. And then we did present this request to Planning Commission at their February 5th meeting. There were no public comments at that meeting. And the commission recommended unanimous approval, subject to 17 conditions, and they did add a sentence on to condition number 11, requiring 15 on-street parallel parking spaces to be reserved for use by Alpha Loop users. There's a significant Alpha Loop trail that runs through this development. And that concludes the presentation. If you have questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Wooden? Councilman Hypes?
Mr. Woodman, thank you for the presentation. I wanted to get a few facts from the staff side before the applicant comes up. I went back and revisited the video of this original hearing on December 16th of 2019, and the mayor asked a question about, is it 47 acres or is it 62 acres? And in watching the response 7 years ago or 6 years ago, it's a little less than clear. Could you put up the property and explain apples to apples, oranges to oranges, how many acres there are and why it's 630,000 square feet of office building being reduced down by 200,000? Could you explain that?
Yeah, so this is the 62.5 acre mixed-use development. the Lakeview Parkway mixed-use development. There were, in previous plans that go back to between 1988 and 2015, the master plan was only about 47 acres. I believe it was this side of the property that was added on. There was about 15 acres that was added to the mixed-use development, and that was done in 2017. The 2017 plan never was constructed, and so that reverted back to that 2015 plan. But when TPA came in 2019, it did include the full 62.5 acres.
So, and to be clear, this is part of the master plan, 62 acres, but the applicant does not own that property. It is owned by someone else who is not before council, correct?
TPA does not own this property here. This is owned by Third and Urban. I believe Colonial owns their property separately as well.
And when we talk about 630,000 square feet of office building and being reduced down by 200,000, the 200,000 is right there in the middle, correct?
That represents,
But
this is the parcel, and this was a 200,000 square foot office building.
And when we look at the square footage of the office buildings, it includes the existing building that's owned by somebody else and it's not part of this property, it's part of a master plan.
Correct. The 275,000 square foot of office that exists today is this office building here that is owned by Third and Urban, as well as the Colonial Pipeline property.
And the blue building at the very top for 150,000 square feet, has anybody even applied to construct a building there?
We have not been contacted about a office building at that location, but that's what's approved for that property within this master plan.
All right. And then when we talk about any types of density numbers with respect to residential, it includes the Third and Urban property, and I looked on the property tax map, it includes the 27 acres that comprises the lake area.
It includes, yes, it includes this entire mixed-use development, including properties that aren't owned by the applicant TPA.
With regard to the internal streets, those are private, is that correct?
Yes.
Will the city have any responsibilities for maintenance of the private streets?
No, they're privately maintained.
And I won't ask you the police question about parking and enforcement and that type of thing, but those are private streets. The parking that's directly in front of the surface parking, Colonial, is that proprietary to Colonial, or is that public parking?
Well, the Colonial property does have some fencing and gating that was approved around their property. So that surface parking as well as their deck is not open to the public currently. There is a condition of zoning on the property. I believe it was condition number 15
Correct.
in the 2019 zoning conditions that refer to allowing for public parking for the Alpha Loop on office parking lots.
And are we as city staff interpreting and understanding that condition, meaning any and all parking, surface parking and parking decks, or just selected parking decks?
I believe it's very general. The sentence, the way it reads, is it's any office parking within this mixed-use development.
Also, just to put it out there, with regard to impact fee credits, what, if anything, has been agreed to that the applicant is constructing that's receiving impact fees?
I think Kathy was going to respond to this one. She had pulled the information.
Councilman, you can see I think you can see the area in red. It's highlighted in red. That is the area that was given impact fee credits for the construction of the trail. Originally, it was going to be, the Alpha Loop was going to run down the middle of the private roadway. However, that was moved to along 400, and that's something, of course, that the city is designing and will pay for that construction versus giving impact fee credits.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilwoman Reeves?
So that area in red, that's the loop. That area that was highlighted, that's part of the loop around the lake, correct?
Yeah, that's the Alpha Loop, and of course, you know, nobody's prohibited from coming down the private drive that was built and constructed and paid for, of course, by the private development, to the area right at the front of the lake, which is the amphitheater, which was not paid for by impact fee credits. However, that's also open for public access here. But there weren't any impact fee credits given for that. The part shown in red was the area that was given the impact fee credits for construction.
So when a master plan is approved, CUP master plan, whatever we want to call it, it's looked at in total, right? The whole project is looked at as these various pieces of this puzzle work together and create synergy for each other, and these different pieces come together to make it successful. Because just because you say you check this box or check that box doesn't mean you're going to get an Avalon or a city center. That there seems to be some magic dust that comes with a good mixed-use plan that has all of these things working together, right?
Certainly, we have those minimum percentages of uses in that MU zoning
And
category.
this is a change from that original master plan. That's what's being requested, correct?
Yes, there's been several development over the years.
And outside of the 17th of the little townhomes, and they park on the street, there's nothing to prevent them from parking on the street. How are the rest of the residents in Alpharetta to utilize this really cool amenity? I mean, I think all parts of the Alpha Loop, and I can't walk my dog around Lake Windward because it's a private lake, but I can walk my dog. Like if somebody wants to utilize that, and those parking spots are all full, like.
Yeah, I mean, per that condition number 15 in the 2009 approval on the property, the office properties are supposed to be open for
Somebody
public
conceptualize the ability
parking.
to.
I do believe the applicant does have some additional information for you regarding some other guest parking that's available, open to the public on the site, but certainly that they would need to comply with that condition.
Ready?
Mr. Woodman, can you clarify, because I was not on the council when it was heard back in December of 29, the master plan back then. What's the conditions for public parking for the Alpha Loop there? What was required of that approval?
Yeah, so there were two, in the 2019 approval on the property, there were two conditions of zoning that relate to parking for the Alpha Loop. There was condition number 15, which is a condition that dealt with a MARTA bus shelter on the property, and buried within that condition was a sentence that stated, "The public shall be permitted to park in the office parking lots on evenings and weekends." There's also a condition of zoning related to the developer improving the Alpha Loop through this mixed-use development, and that was condition number 37. And that condition discusses that the developer will promote the Alpha Loop to the public by providing parking, access, and trails for public enjoyment. So the parking was contemplated in those two conditions.
And okay, so tonight's application, and I know the Planning Commission spoke or addressed the parking for the Alpha Loop and about putting some street parking with signs on it and whatever. and read the condition in tonight's report, and frankly, it's very weak. Doesn't really guarantee it, doesn't really, you know, it doesn't strike me as a requirement. It just, you know, just puts it as a condition, but I don't know how we even administrate that or make sure that it's done. I guess my question is, if back in 2019, the offices were required to provide public parking on weeknights and weekends, why is there a need now to put, and I know this is currently zoned for office, the 200,000 square feet of office, the property you're talking about this evening. Is it because they were required to provide parking if that office building got constructed? Or, I'm trying to settle in my mind, what's the issue with the parking for the Greenway, or the Alpha Loop?
Condition 15 and 37 apply to the property today. So the property would need to comply with those conditions. I think the issue was that this property, this 6.5 acre property, was no longer going to be an office building with a parking deck that could provide parking for folks that want to utilize the Alpha Loop. So it's just one less location within the mixed-use development that would be available for public parking. Per condition 15, this property, the Third and Urban property, as well as the Colonial Pipeline property, should be available for public use for the Alpha.
Which is my next question. You sent us an email this afternoon regarding TPA reaching out to Third and Urban on possibly utilizing their office property there for Alpha Loop parking to meet that requirement that the Planning Commission brought up. But it's not an agreement yet. So we're going to vote on something tonight that we don't have an agreement with that is critical to considering whether we, at least it's one point of critical consideration, for me anyway, of having that agreement in place before we vote on something like this. So just throw that out. I don't know what your thoughts are, but the letter's very, you know, we'll talk to you, we'll see what.
Yes, that's what the letter states, is that they'll, you know, they would consider this. You know, however, condition number 15 really requires that it would be allowed.
The other question I have,
today.
the lake itself, it's city property, right?
This lake, it's not been dedicated to the city.
But
No,
wasn't
it's
it,
private property.
Going back to 2019, wasn't it, when it was approved, wasn't it in effect, I don't know what the right legal term is, dedicated to the city, for the city? It's
available.
controlled by the city, or?
It's available for public use.
It's just public access easement.
Just public access?
It's not dedicated.
Oh, okay. So we don't maintain it or required to maintain it, or?
We will be required to replace the hardscape, but nothing with the lake,
Which is the Alpha Loop?
which is the red that we.
I got you. Okay. And there's just one more question. Just from a planning perspective, Mr. Woodman, and when you went through the application, and I know master plans, this was done a while back, right before the pandemic. And the pandemic seemingly has changed a lot as far as, you know, at least developers coming before the city to make changes to master plans around the city. It tends to be housing components, particularly townhomes. And I'm trying to understand the city's perspective on what would be the reason why we would make a change in the master plan to allow housing here versus what was, you know, envisioned in the master plan for this 60-acre, a little over 60-acre.
Yeah, I think we
land.
will.
Because, and I say this because as I went through this, thinking about this, this is very close to, you know, Georgia 400 egress. We don't know what the future is going to bring from an economic standpoint as far as office space. You know, right now, Alfred has 20 million square feet of office space. If I get my numbers right, 6.5 million in Roswell and 2.5, or 6 million in Roswell and 2.5 million in Johns Creek. And there's a reason why we become a business hub, right? Because of the office construction. And I've expressed this before, my concern is, at what point do we stop replacing office space with townhomes? And particularly at this critical location in the city, is this the right place to do that? We have housing components in there in the master plan. I'm just challenging, I'm playing devil's advocate as I think through this.
Yeah, so this property is situated in the North Winds area. So, and there's a lot of over 1 million square feet of office in that North Winds area. So this is right adjacent, just other side of Haynesbridge from that North Winds office park. And so by adding additional, residential use, we do see that this is creating a mixed-use environment, which should bring down vehicular trips. Adding those, so we're adding the residential use and taking away the office, and the MU zoning on this property does require a minimum percentage, and they still meet that even with the exchange. The loss of 200,000 square foot of office, they still have 40% office within this mixed-use development. All they are required to have is a minimum 25%. So we're still in compliance with that, and the fact that adding additional residential to an area that is heavily developed with office today, we believe will help with the traffic.
Correct me if I'm wrong, this particular business area of the city has the highest vacancy rate in our offices, is that true?
I don't know offhand. I don't
Compared
know
to other
if
areas of
Kathy
the
knows or Charlie.
I thought I heard that.
Kathy, are you going to address that?
Yeah, I don't know if. So for this area, you asked if it had the highest vacancy?
I think this area of the city has the most.
So across the street at North
capacity.
Winds, it's about 85% occupied, so it has very high occupancy across the street. But at this particular, the Georgia 400 Center, it did have one of the lowest occupancies, which is the 2 office buildings that are directly adjacent, as well
What's that?
as
Do
the
you know
one
that
that's the,
percentage offhand?
this one here.
Do you know the percentage offhand?
It was around, and actually, Tyler Wakefield may know because it was just sold because of the high vacancies, but I believe it was around 55%. That may be correct. And I mean, even at one time, before it was sold, we had a code enforcement issue because of the building here was actually being used to park cars that were for sale. So we had a little bit of a struggle. But now with the new ownership, they have a really good reputation for amenitizing, putting upgrades into office buildings. So we do think that those will get better occupancy.
Thank you.
Councilman Brady.
I think the applicant is the benefactor of hearing a lot of questions probably tonight from us, just because I think this property won an award for how many times it came in for different iterations. I I swear it must be 12, 15, 16, over 14, 15 years. MetLife must have come in eight times. So apologies, because when you go through those iterations, you see different things and how this lake was activated and all these different things. Mine kind of goes, I think the applicant's done a good job kind of what has been built, for the multifamily of this kind. I think it looks really good. I think the aesthetics of it's kind of really good. So there's a lot of, I don't want to be redundant with other council members of what they brought up. I think it's great. My concern is to kind of go right into the homeowner size. If I bought one of those pieces from Toll Brothers, right, I'm trying to understand how it all kind of comes together, because I think the style there, the aesthetics of the style between multifamily into Toll Brothers works really kind of well. I mean, you start to see it. It's got great characters. I pulled up Toll Brothers and looked at it. It's gorgeous. The Lakeview townhomes or the city homes, 4 levels of really high quality materials. And I'm kind of concerned of a new builder going in and plopping in. And if you don't mind pulling up the renderings you just did real quick. I just want to make sure there's conformity, right? That these things it looks together. Because to me, this looks completely out of place from what you see between the Eden and between what Toll Brothers has, and I'm concerned about that. I'm not the design guy to kind of do this, but I certainly don't want to be the guy that just looks at something completely out of place that's plopped in there. And that is purely aesthetics. I'm just going to design this completely out of what you would normally expect to be there on a conformity. And that's, I don't know how staff or the city's kind of looking at that. How do you manage that between two different builders and two different kind of styles? And how do you bring that all together?
Yeah, I think usually that's done with materials or style. Usually you're not going to mix, a modern or a contemporary look with a more traditional look. But usually the exterior materials can help with that. The applicant is also here this evening, and their home builder, Trayton, can maybe speak more to that as well.
So, and just, I'll be my last comment. I'm not trying to be tongue-in-cheek about it all, but I'm focused on quality. That's really what I'm trying to get. You have some like black and white contrast. You have real kind of quality wood and board and batten, great kind of design elements I put in there. When I look at this, looks like oatmeal's thrown through a blender and just out there. I'm not wowed about it at all, and I'm concerned about quality. So I'll just leave it with that, but thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Councilman Brady took my first question/comment, because I've been over there myself as well, and I've also seen some communities where there's been more than one builder involved. And yeah, you can really screw this whole thing up with a product that doesn't maintain some kind of flow. It doesn't have to be identical. It doesn't need to look like Army barracks because everything's identical, but that's a key factor. I want to go back to this parking issue for one last time. And I've heard people up here talk tonight that I don't think understand what we've been saying, because in the condition number 15, as Michael presented it, the office buildings are required to provide parking for the Alpha Loop per that condition. So to say that we have to get in a written agreement from Third and Urban that they agree to it, we've already got one. We've got one. The agreement's here. It's number 15, Your Honor. We'll present that in court if so need be. And so what that looks like, we're going to need to have a friendly conversation and not be, punch them in the nose with a piece of paper. But it's there, and I think people are looking past that. And I think that yes, 17 parking spaces additional on the streets. Yes, in certain parts of the city, somebody would be compelled to park there and run in their house. They're going to have to climb the fence or cut through a fence into their backyard because it's quite a bit away from where they're going to be going to. So it's not as much a destination park. The amphitheater could present that opportunity at times. But it is a trail system that has to come in there. We've got several of these around town that don't have parking lots. It's find your spot, park in the office across the street. We have some that have designated. So I'm comfortable with where we're going with this. If you're telling me there's going to be adding 17 more, right?
The condition currently says 15. If you want to update condition number 11 to read 17, the applicant did provide a site plan showing that they could add up to 17 additional spaces. Planning Commission did not have the site plan with the on-street parking added, so it was unknown how many spaces could fit there.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for staff on this? Thank you, Mr. Woodman. Would the applicant like to come forward?
Put it in the presentation mode. Are you guys able to see that as well on your screens? Thank you. Kenneth Wood, 350 Research Court, Peachtree Corners, Georgia. Thank you for letting us present tonight. I'll kind of address a lot of the different items that we had heard, as well as talk about where we've been, different communications. The site we're looking at, the 62 acres, we feel like, as I was looking at it from a planning standpoint, the way we're looking at it now is almost be the way I would approach it. And I'll talk about kind of Lake Street, the way Moore Drive kind of sets up, the traffic, a lot of conversations we had with neighbors about, they couldn't imagine if an office building like this actually came in with, the little side roads they're experiencing and the different flow. The reason we want to modify the mixed use is really where it is, and you can kind of see it from the slide here. The way it sets up, it is great access if you work in town, if you work out of town, wherever you kind of are, it's very easy to get around. It's also within the hub of so many of the city's really initiatives, amenities, outside venues, kind of everything that we have. This is a look at where you can see it today. I've got a lot of photos that we went out. We've done a lot of site visits to think about the way we demonstrate and look at this site, the way it sets up, the architecture. We can talk through that in every way. This is the existing plan as we overlaid it, and you can kind of see that office building. If you're in the townhomes across, and those are the revised townhomes, you had Toll that did one section of townhomes that were 4-story, and then new ones are a smaller product that are the 3-story product that are out there. Then you have the multifamily, you have the parking deck. So right across would have been that office building coming out onto Lake Drive, which is this internal street that runs here on this and has the parking that was along basically put in here and through this area. A couple of things just to point out is, there is an additional 150 spaces in the multifamily deck. Those are available for the retail, the future retail. They are available to the side, 50% of those. I can let Tyler, that's with me today, talk about that. There's another over 40 parking here on the future retail. Then I believe there's around 40 total as you go up and down the street. What we were looking at is putting in additional ones that are here. And I'll talk about some neighbor conversations I've had at CZIM, then in addition, that really helped sculpt our plan. This was the comments from the neighbors and kind of getting to where we are today. And this is kind of a look at where that would be, kind of where that office was facing the townhomes. And like I said, when I look at this, the way we have the most current plan feels like the right plan for me in terms of the way we set it up, having the multifamily, and then as you go down, having the retail, and then the townhomes. And then as we're kind of keep going toward that lake, that's why we also have the detached. So we're bringing in a different product type. It is an urban detached, as you've seen a lot of times in the city that we've presented on different projects. And this is kind of that side-by-side comparison. As we mentioned, we're still well above. We're still 40% office on this. We still have another 150,000 square feet of office to construct as part of the development. That would be on the third and urban piece. It's up here at the top, and that actually exits up toward Lakeview, that part. You also have the Colonial that's here and the other existing office that's here, but this is that other proposed section that's here. So if you took away the 200, you still have all the office that's kind of on that western side, the proposed what's up there on the top, as well as coming down to Colonial and the additional building that's here on the site. As you keep going further, looking at the plan, what we tried to do was really think about the frontage. The plan was modified over time. We wanted to preserve the landscaping that's here. It's very nice of what was installed. The townhomes we met, the residents gave us comments that the street parking's used a lot, whether it's Pilates or different type of the retail users that are there. And so to look internally at how much parking, on our current plan, we have almost 50% guest parking, which is higher than most single-family detached or townhome developments I've done in the city. So we did increase that based on that. We probably could get that up even about 4 more internally here. We are looking to have an active amenity, a nice little high-end pool, cabana, or other type of little pavilion. We pushed everything back further from the road, so you have kind of this long streetscape. And that's really what some of those renderings are kind of trying to do, is trying to talk about where we're preserving that frontage green and set things back a little bit. So there'll be set back a little bit more since they're deeper in the development. These are some of the pictures, and the reason why we feel like the additional residential would be such an amenity here is it's really amazing to walk out there. It feels great when you walk around this area. These are some of the different ones. The renderings that you see here, which are the 3D ones, they really just show the green space. The colored ones are the ones of the actual architecture. This is actually how much space we're preserving. The alpha, basically that additional trail, it's like a spur trail. We're also adding it as you go up to the side. This would be our amenity area, kind of sunk back into the side of what we're proposing. This is a feel of how large that space would be in that area. And then this is kind of an overhead view where we're looking at and whether we're having the sport courts or we're doing kind of a nice little pool area right here. But we had those single family detached where we're bringing a different type of product to this, a different square footage, trying to hit that attainable price points. We're starting in the 6s and going up and have a different type of starting with a little less square footage, but the architecture to be complementary. And I'll talk about that as we go forward. So these images that are here, these are the architectural images. You know, I've worked with Trayton kind of around a lot of different places. They build a very, very high-end product. On a per square foot basis, the price will be the same, if not more. So if there's, you know, 3,500 square foot toll product, and these are 22 to 2,600, it would be the same price per square foot. It's just that they're more of an attainable size of what we see, which is more constant that you see in the city, is more this size. The toll just had to be a little larger. And so we have DRB for the architecture. We can definitely be complementary. That's what we want to do for the project as we go through. And just a couple other things I want to show as we mentioned, these are some of the different ones that Trayton does all over, whether it's downtown areas or some of those. Major reduction in the traffic. When we talked to the neighbors, they talked about really not wanting to see another 200,000 square foot on that Lake Road, which is that internal road, how it would pour out to there, that would be there. And so residential is a much larger reduction for the traffic in that area. We did talk to Third and Urban. Tyler can discuss that. And like you said, I mean, it is in there for the condition. They need to provide it. But we want to make sure we are providing our residents. This was that latest plan I was asked to do by the Planning Commission. I can get 17 spaces along here. We can dedicate that for the Alpha Loop. They would be constructed. They are shown on our plan. They would be conditioned to be constructed. We also have another 24, which I can take up with even a few more here, so that I'm more 50% or more on the guest parking, which is more than most developments. So we're making sure we're taking into consideration what has been said about the parking from the residents. We listened. We also add a lot more internal parking and really trying to really make a creative plan that fits into this and kind of the surrounding areas for this. And we really tried to take, you know, this 2045, we're looking at the comp plan, and it talks about the housing, and that's kind of exactly what we're doing when you read it, and then the office vacancies, and really not trying to take away something we're tearing down, but really looking at it for what this area has and what it needs. But let me have Tyler come up and talk about a couple of those subjects, if I can pause the time. So
Just to
you can
give
have
you
a second.
a warning, got less than 2 minutes left
Yes,
to
sir.
present.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for having us. We're happy to be here. I just want to give a little bit of history on the site and kind of tell you how we arrived at this application and this moment. 10 years since we acquired the initial property to include the full 62 acres, and we really have been very patient. We had no idea what COVID would have done. We've taken significant swings and misses at wonderful tenants to the likes of Morgan Stanley, Audemars Peugeot, BHM, Corrugated Box Manufacturing. We worked with Charlie and Kathy and Michael at chasing these tenants. They can attest to that. We put our very, very, very best foot forward, and in the end, it just ended up being cost. We had huge competition at Continuum and KDC. Those are wonderful sites, but just a couple of stats. Right now, our site is just very, unfortunately, uniquely positioned in the middle of about 2.1 million square feet of office. It's 34% vacant. Those rent rates are right around $24 net, $32 gross. When we were underwriting these offerings for build-to-suits for these great tenants, our rents were approaching the 60s net. So very uncompetitive. We know that when Georgia 400 Center sold those three buildings, the campus sold for $91 million right before COVID, and recently transacted for $39 million. Office is dramatically distressed. It is on its ear. There's 20 million square feet of office here in this city. I'm not telling you all anything you don't know, but this is a public forum, so for the benefit of the public, I just want to give that information. And Alpharetta has 3 jobs for every 1 housing unit in the city. So as we look at the median home price in Alpharetta, $730,000, when we're coming with our price points and this use, this is how we arrived at the product that we're delivering. We see it as very,
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to
very
interrupt you
attainable.
for a second. That's the time, so if y'all want to extend for both sides to allow him to finish, that would be something to take up with a motion and a vote.
We have a motion.
Make a motion to extend the time equally on both sides for
Second.
another 5 minutes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Do I need to call for public comment? All
And
those,
Mr. Mayor, if we could just have 1 second to add this vote into the system, or you could elect to vote by hand.
1 second. Do you care? All right, let's vote by hand. All those in favor of extending by 5 minutes, raise your right hand. Done. Go ahead.
Thank you. I wouldn't have gone so fast if I was going to get a couple more minutes. Can I start over? 5's better than 2. Again, I think my point in saying all that is, and most of you all know all those things with your work with the comprehensive plan. I think my point there is, you know, dating back to 2019 and 2020 when we did our Colonial Pipeline office development, it was fully our intention to do this office building, and we'd love nothing more, quite frankly. It would be our pleasure and something we meant when we came forward in 2019. We do not see the office market coming back. This is just one person's opinion, but it's in a market we're in every day. The city of Alpharetta is a market we've been invested in and we believe we've been good stewards of with what you all have endowed us with to go develop and move forward. We do not see a viable office solution here for many years. We just don't. Again, and we would love that. We really would. But right now there's a little over 4 million square feet of vacancy in the city. And again, to Ken's point, we just see this as a very cohesive, complementary use. This could have been much more densified, but we've had lots of community meetings. We've talked to lots of folks. My first meeting with staff on this was back in April, so this just really was not a hurried decision. April of 2025, that is. And again, the way we're looking at price per square foot, comparable to the other residential use in this park, and also the price point difference between attached and detached saddles, that $730,000 median price, and so we feel really good about a smaller square footage, but a very high-end, very complementary value offering. I do, and Ken mentioned this, but I just want to be clear about the model images that's for scaling, and Councilman Brady and Merkel, I did hear those comments, and we respect that that's not what we're building, and we'll commit to you tonight that's not what we're building, and it doesn't look very good because we would not get behind that. Those renderings are what we intend to build. We've socialized those, but of course with the ERB in front of us, we're going to be really good listeners there, and look forward to that discussion. That is all, and I sure appreciate the time and consideration. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Questions for the applicant? Councilman Dorito?
Thank you. I don't know if I should question Tyler or both of you. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here this evening. And,
Yes, sir.
appreciate you meeting with me in advance, just kind of going over the initial thoughts of what you might propose for the city. I just want to ask you a question because I'm kind of, my biggest concern, and I'd say this in my questions to Mr. Woodman, but I'm going to hold it for you, and Councilman Brady already brought it up, is the quality of these homes. And before I get to that, I want to ask you just your perspective in a master plan community, particularly where you have various components and we have the Toll Brothers development and the residential Eden and all that stuff, which is beautiful development, as pointed out already. As I was going through this application, preparing for tonight, I put myself in the shoes of people who already invested money in that area, in that development, in that master plan. Usually when you go, you purchase a home, you look at the master plan, you kind of eyes wide open, you know what you're investing in, you know what's going to happen in the future. What do you say to those homeowners, if there are ones out there that are concerned about, you know, they brought in with the sense of the master plan that was presented to them when they were making a pretty significant investment because they're very expensive homes. About now coming in with this housing project, I understand, and Tyler, you outlined it well as far as the efforts of TPA and everything. I hear you. I hear you on that, and I'll take that into consideration. But what do you say to the people who invested in there, who now see this potential change and feel like their value of their homes might be potentially reduced as a result of the quality of the homes that you are suggesting you put in there?
Yes, sir. Thank you for that question. And what I'd like to start by responding to is your concern about the quality, and just let you know that we've very carefully evaluated the market and feel like the quality is lacking in no way and very suitable for the city. We do respect that early investors came in with an idea of what this master plan was. I've spoken to many of the neighbors in this neighborhood as recently as even this afternoon about our intent here. I understand that the neighbors don't care about market conditions. I do. But again, just to help evaluate and help justify our decision to do this, this was not an overnight decision. COVID was 6 years ago. We've made very rigorous efforts, and again, I think the city staff would agree and has seen those efforts take place, and after many years of thoughtful consideration, we do feel like this is a commensurate product. We do, if I would tell you that the square foot price is not only comparable, it's a little higher actually on the product that we're offering here. The aesthetics we're proud of. We like them. It's not everyone's going to pick the same colors and pick the same finishes, but we are going to be really good listeners. We want to be cohesive with the neighborhood, with the CZIM, the multiple phone calls and meetings and emails and other things that we've had with neighbors. We've really tried to softly move this initiative forward. We're not trying to slam it down anyone's throat. This site could be more dense. We could densify it. I think we looked at a 75 townhome unit. I said, this is crazy. We're not going to shovel this stuff in here. That would have been more profitable for us. The city of Alpharetta would have hated it and wouldn't have gotten it through, but we really tried to be thoughtful about how we laid out the small lot detached to be street facing, just to make sure that we're giving something very inviting, very soft, a little more attainable, still quite expensive, quite nice, but a little more attainable townhome in the center of the site, sort of nested in there, just to allow the small lot detached, just to aesthetically please, be very soft. So there was a lot of thought given to this. And again, I hate to just hang my hat on price per square foot analyses, but that's the primary difference we're seeing in the gross totals.
Is that type of density required in that 6 and whatever it is acre lot? Is that required to be able to make this happen?
Yes. Yes, it is. I think I would tell you that it wasn't a magic number that we were seeking. It was really more about making sure that there was a number that we could pencil on the back.
Tell you why I'm asking.
Yes, sir.
I kind of assumed that was the answer, but I just wanted to get on the record. There's a development, I mentioned the names, at over North Point, Kimball Bridge Road, that's under construction. That looks very similar to your renditions. And I heard you earlier, that's just initial. I get it, you make changes and all that stuff, I get it. But I sat in the audience of that hearing, and I remember this. I wasn't on council yet, but I was in the audience. And I remember seeing the renditions of those pictures and thinking, wow, this thing looks institutional, too symmetrical. Every house looks the same. They look like pencil buildings. And I kind of get that sense from looking at your renditions that that's what this might look like. I personally don't like that look for city of Alpharetta. And so I throw out to you, and you've already heard this, so you don't need to respond, but I think the design, if the council decides to approve this evening, the design of these buildings have to put a lot of thought into it. They have to be to the quality of Toll Brothers, of what they're doing, and fit into the environment of what TPA has done so far as a tremendous community over there. It really is. That amenity is beautiful. A lot of people don't even know it's there. As Councilman Reeves mentioned earlier, we can go back and walk our dogs if we feel like it, right? So if I have just one concern, because I asked about the parking earlier because I was trying to understand the history of it, and Mayor Pro Tem, outlined it well. The parking requirement is there, and if you want to add 17 spaces on the street, that's great, But the development itself is, if it was to be approved by this council, I would hope we would want to make sure that the design of those homes are considering the investment that people have made there already in those very expensive homes, and that it doesn't diminish the value of the homes. If anything, it will enhance them. And not only that, it'll have a rippling effect to the other side of Haynesbridge homes where I live over there. So I would ask you to, and Tyler, I know talking to you, you're very sincere about this stuff, and you guys have been great to talk to because you're very transparent and stuff. So I just throw that out as kind of an ask. As Councilman Brady already brought up, it's going to be very important that they've built the quality and level that is commensurate to what's already there today and what the city would expect. So
That's noted. Thank you, and we can commit to that tonight. Thank you.
Councilman Hypes, did you have a question?
Appreciate it. Gentlemen, what's the status of the unbuilt retail when you enter into the property off of Haynes Bridge?
The question,
Yeah, what is the status?
The status,
of the
yes, sir.
unbuilt retail that's
Yeah,
part
yeah.
of the mixed-use project that is now residential and one pre-sold office building?
yes, sir. Wasn't pre-sold. The inline retail has been a big success. The density of the apartment itself and the ability to offer very competitive rents day one in an inline setting is hard to beat. So matching that up to a speculative retail development, it's apples and wrenches, as I tell my daughters. It's two uncomparable things. So we've analyzed for many years the speculative development there, and just felt time and time again we weren't able to offer competitive rents to bring in the types of uses that we think are accretive there. There are lots of uses that we don't think belong there that would have come. To be honest, I don't want to disparage anyone tonight, but we just think it needs to be a certain level. Inline's been very successful. We've had a med spa, another private training gym, high-end athletes from all over the state come there. There's a Pilates gym, and then Paris Baguette is under construction on their end piece there. So the inline's been very successful. We got very, very close recently with a nice Mexican restaurant user that was going to front the park there. We were really excited about that, and it fell apart at the 11th hour. That really derailed our plans. You may remember we came forward, we got approved at DRB. We were very, very, very close. We took a huge swing miss at Eddie V's. We lost that. I can get into the details of this, but they went right across the street, so we were unsuccessful in that venture. But we're not stopping. Capital markets have not been kind to us in the speculative offering, and I will say that I don't want to pretend like we've just been hard at it since 19. We felt like we needed the body heat to substantiate that spec development, but by the time it came online and we had the body heat there to visit and get the traffic that we needed, we just have not been able to make it work mathematically. It's a math problem for us right now, but it's not something we're giving up on.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're not giving up on it. This was sold to council and the city as a mixed-use project, complete with all the requirements of mixed-use grocery stores, et cetera. And right now, it's a residential project that has an apartment complex component that was sold to the council based off of the need for those housing units for employees for office buildings that were going to be built. So, you know, we've abandoned the office buildings. We're going to more residential. So, you know, are you open to any type of concurrency between building the retail that was promised and is part of the mixed use with this request to change from office building to residential? Or are you wanting to build the residential and then hoping we'll build the retail, but if market conditions don't prevail, walk away from it and greenfield the front of the development?
Yes, sir.
In which case, it's not a mixed use, in my opinion.
Yeah, we understand, and I respect those comments. Not having, not having time to fully digest that question around concurrency and two separate users and timing. I'm very genuine in my response to you about the mathematics, and for that reason, I cannot commit to concurrency on that tonight, but I would consider it absolutely, given some further dialogue and conversation. I think that there's a lot to go into that discussion as to what concurrency really means, use, square footage, et cetera. So unfortunately, I can't commit to that tonight.
At the original hearing, there was a reference to, there was an anticipated 3,150 employees, and 10% of that net out the need for housing units, which was the 315 housing units that were originally approved. Is that something that you all still employ, that sort of formula?
I'm sorry, was this?
Are you
from
familiar with
the
that? This
hearing
was
in
something Crawford had presented.
2019? What was the metric? I'm sorry.
Well, the justification for 315 units was that there would be 3,150 employees. And for every employee, 10% would require, according to Crawford, your investors needed a housing unit for 1 out of 10 employees on the site. And I figured you got to 3,150 employees because 200 square feet per employee works out to exactly 630,000 square feet, which is the phantom number of square feet, not the actual number that was going to get built. So is that still, I just know, is that a formula that your developer, TPA, 360 Tech Village, employs that formula?
Honestly, sir, I think that percentage is higher based on the way people want to live closer to where they work. So I would tell you that to really make a mixed-use development work like this, you would like to see that percentage increased.
And I apologize, I'm bad with names. The other person up there, or maybe it was yourself, did say, use the term dedicate the parking spots, the 17. Do you mean dedicate in the legal sense of dedicating them to the city?
Yes, sir. We are open to that, and this is some discussions we've had later on with staff, we presume, with conversations with you all, that we've certainly entertained and are willing to pursue together. Yes.
And in terms of my fellow council members evaluating how we would monitor collectively those 17 additional parking spots, we've established that's a private road, correct?
Yes, sir. I believe that the city has a non-exclusive easement over the road, but yes.
Okay. And the existing housing has its own, the Toll Brothers have their own HOA, correct?
They do, yes, sir.
And Trayton will have its own separate HOA, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And the Eden has its own property management, correct?
Yes, sir, it does.
So if somebody's violating rules at Lakeview and parking in a place that's designated for public access to the public amenities, there's really no way internally to enforce that because it's out on the road and you got 3 competing organizations.
I think it would be a challenge, but we do have security there that roams, and a lot of our policies revolve around whether or not the vehicle's been there for an extended period of time, such like over 24 hours, then we start to take action.
And would the on-site security be shared equally amongst the homeowners associations and property management, or how would that be provided if that is the way to ensure parking is available for public access to the public amenities?
It's a very good question.
I thought so too.
Yeah, you know, to say that they would,
Somebody has to pay for common amenities such as security.
Yes,
And
sir.
how would that be
And we
handled
would and we
for the
would
benefit of the
secure those.
Alpharetta residents who would want to park for those amenities?
Yes, sir. This is a new concept for me, so I'm thinking through it. The way, if we were to dedicate those parking spaces, I'm just thinking about that sliver and how that would be managed. If it was owned by the city, then I think just on paper, it would be owned, operated, maintained, and secured by the city. We're open to securing, and because we're already close in proximity on both sides over the whole 47 acres, so I'm not trying to avoid the question.
And I don't want to belabor this, but if the spots remained under the responsibility of Lakeview and you have security, who goes about paying for Lakeview security to ensure parking is properly enforced?
Yes, that's a function of the association and the operating expense.
I know this won't surprise you, 'cause I met with you briefly before the meeting, but you know, driving through there at 10 o'clock a.m. on the nose this morning, there's 14 parallel parking spots in front of the built Toll Brothers and the Greenfield that we're talking about on each side of the street. And out of the 28 parking spots, 3 were empty. 3 parallel spots were empty. I took the photos when I drove through there. Is that going to be pretty much consistent with how parallel parking is used out there if it's not restricted?
I hope that the construction users were not using those as convenient places to park for the work for the day. But they are used, and I went out at 5 o'clock this afternoon. It was nowhere near that crowded, but certainly saw 10 or 12 different people with pets walking the Alpha Loop and using it for that purpose. So.
Okay, well, I appreciate your responses. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Driscoll.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here. I wanted to circle back on one thing. The artist renderings that y'all presented, that's the intention of what the design features will look like. The 3D images were more for just landscape and show the area green space. Those are not reflective of anything that they're going to look like. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, sir, Councilman Driscoll, thank you. The 3D images they are model images intended for scaling purposes only. As Ken mentioned, it's intended to show the green space and the setbacks and sort of the less dense, crowded nature of it. The renderings, the 2D is intended to be the architectural rendering, yes.
Do we have any other questions? Councilman Drigo.
Tyler, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but back in 2019, when the master plan was approved, there was a discussion by the council back then regarding the Eden and the rental units, and that 15% would be put aside for, I forget what they referred to it as, but lesser rental value for, I forget what it's called, and somebody that was on the council might remember what that was, but is that being done today?
Yes.
It is?
Yes.
Okay. That's it. Just wanted to know. Thank you.
Kathy, could you clarify that, please?
Yes, they do have recorded covenants that they have to offer 15%, is it 15%? Sorry, I don't have the condition in front of me. 15%, yeah. So that is recorded, and they actually just sold the multifamily, so we had to go back through and make sure the Development Authority was okay with that and signed off and made sure that that condition carried forward.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir. Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards?
We do not have any public comment cards on this item tonight, Mr. Mayor.
However, if anyone would like to come and speak in favor of this item, now's your opportunity to do so. Yes, the procedures are that we go first in favor, and then we'll give an opportunity for opposition. So if there's no one to come forward in favor of this project, I'll open public comment for someone who is in opposition of the applicant.
And sir, just as a friendly reminder, please state your name and address for the record.
My name's Alan McClard. I live at 2030 Juliet Avenue in Alpharetta. I am representing the current homeowners in Lakeview. I first moved to Alpharetta in 2001. I recently retired and moved from South Florida back to Alpharetta. I realize that's opposite. Not a lot of people retire and move north, but I love Alpharetta and I'm back. My neighbors and I did not just buy a home. We bought into a master plan community. We're very concerned that less than 1 year after the first homes in the development were sold, that a significant change to the master plan is being considered. The rezoning seems abrupt, though we admittedly do not fully understand the demand for office space in the area. In the event rezoning is inevitable, we have two significant concerns with the applicant's proposal. First, the rezoning would not allow for enough parking to support the intended use of this area. In the Planning Commission meeting on February 5th, Council Member Karen Richard stated that this mixed-use development was approved, one of the focal points was the activation of the 10-acre lake to take this private lake and make it public. That plan included an office building with a parking deck that would be used by the public. This deck is eliminated with the change to residential space. The number of included spaces in the applicant's proposal includes the claim of a two-car garage and 2 spaces in the driveway. Toll Brothers makes the same claim with their existing townhomes. But I can tell you firsthand, as an owner of one of these narrow townhomes, that 4 vehicles in this space may be mathematically possible, but it is not reality. Residents park second vehicles on the street in front of their homes. Street parking is frequently maxed out currently with only 11 occupied homes and a Pilates studio. Toll Brothers will eventually have 60 completed units, and there are an additional 52 units being proposed by the applicant. So in total, 101 more homes than what are occupied currently. The proposed parking is not enough to support residents and retail, much less provide public parking for use of the lake and the Alpha Loop, which again was a focal point when this development was approved. Our second concern is with the proposed new homes. Current homeowners all pay between $1.1 and $1.3 million for their homes. The applicant's proposal is 2,200 square foot homes starting at $600,000. In viewing Trayton's website, they currently build homes around Atlanta at price points between $300,000 and $700,000. The proposed new homes are not consistent with current homes. I'm not crystal clear after that presentation which were renderings and which are actually going to be built, but they all look dated. Toll Brothers is very modern. It is a very modern community, and these homes do not fit within that community. The dollars per square foot, I heard words, I didn't hear numbers. Toll Brothers are around $350 per square foot, 650,000, 2,200, I get 295. That seems like a lot less. Existing residents are very concerned about the value of their property and believe a more premium builder should construct these homes if rezoning is approved. Residents of Lakeview would ask the City Council to reject the applicant's proposal. At minimum, we should pause and consider other marketing and builder options. Let's be certain when this mixed-unit development is completed, it delivers on the vision the council previously approved and the residents bought into. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Is there anyone else that wanted to come and speak in opposition? I don't see anyone else coming forward, so we'll close public comment.
Mr. Mayor, just as a matter of procedure, if I could, there is still 2 minutes and 17 seconds left in support, if anybody in support wanted to come and make any type of a rebuttal. So there's still time available.
Okay, so
I think
Is there
the question would be,
anyone that wants-
does anyone want to come speak in favor of it as a rebuttal to what was just presented?
I'll be glad to proceed. Would anyone like to come speak in favor of the opposition?
Good evening. My name is Cliff Poston. I'm one of the principals of Trayton Homes. We're a privately owned home builder founded over in Cobb County in 1971. We've built almost 20,000 homes throughout the Southeast. Maybe our website right now shows mid-threes to probably more like nines, because that's where we are now. But we have built probably hundreds is an exaggeration, but I would say more than 100 or 200 houses over $1 million. We've built homes as high as $2.5 million. We just kind of go where the market goes right now. And as we talked about, I think the guys gave the numbers earlier. If you take a 1 mile radius around this piece of property and you look at the median sales price was $730,000 over the last 6 months. The median size of those houses was 2,152 square feet. So what we try to do is go into a market. People are going to choose to go to the high end of markets sometimes they're not. This architecture that we chose, we tried to come in and take something. Seems like there's such a trend, everything has gone modern. I think there's still people, when I look around Alpharetta, everything's not modern. There's some more traditional stuff. We would love to work with the DRB and trying to take our vision of something that's a little bit more traditional, make sure it blends with the colors and everything that Toll Brothers has done, so it is complementary. So we're more than happy to do that. Of course, quality materials, we'll use the very similar materials to what Toll Brothers is using. I mean, it's going to, we're going to use masonry. Again, we're going to work with the DRB, is going to direct us. We're going to work with your staff to put us in the right direction. We were trying to do something that was not exactly the same old with the modern. Toll Brothers is great. They do an amazing job. We compete with them in a number of different submarkets. And I just wanted to, the quality question, the quality of our homes, just because the price points right now, we follow the market. If the market trends up, and if these houses all go to $1.2 million, I promise you, nobody in this room is going to be any more happy about it than I am. So we can track them up. We can go larger. Maybe the opposition will be, but we certainly will take it as high as it can possibly go. We just wanted to start at a point where it looked like where the market is to us, that's quantifiable today with the size home and the price point, and work with a mix of materials and color schemes that is agreeable to the staff and to the DRB. So thank you all very much for your time. I appreciate it.
We have 7 more seconds.
So the last thing I'll say, just to go off, is we
4,
do have 50% guest parking
3,
inside our community.
2, 0. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, based on the many loose ends that I'm seeing and hearing tonight, I'm going to make a motion to table this for 30 days. To the next, for the first open meeting possible. Staff can assume it up to 60 days is what I'm going to say, for staff to arrange for meetings.
Do we want to table it, or?
Do we want to table it or vote on it?
No, but there are other options.
It-
That's what I mean.
What he's, I mean, if you're really going per Robert's rules, what he's really suggesting is postponing to a date certain, which doesn't actually have to be a date certain. It can be based on a triggering thing. I know what you mean, so I'm not going to get nitpicky on how he words it. I think he's saying.
But one of them has
opposed to-
advertising.
Well, and I guess I'll clarify this. Councilman Merkel, are you suggesting for a vote only when it comes back, or for an additional public hearing when it comes back?
For a vote only when it comes back,
Okay.
that the loose ends that I'm hearing get addressed, so that council is prepared to make a more educated vote at that point, I think, and also give the applicant a time to answer some of the questions that were presented tonight that he wasn't prepared for.
That's how you intend on moving forward. Would you humor me and just defer to the April 13th meeting?
Yes, sir. I will defer to the April 13th meeting for a vote.
Is that a motion?
It is a motion, but is it a defer motion or a table motion?
I would just ask that you defer it until the date in
Okay,
April.
so there's no
yes.
more discussion tonight, once we vote on that. A tabled motion, no discussion, is deferred motion the same?
You can discuss the deferral.
Okay, that's the direction I would like to go in. I don't think we need to discuss this anymore tonight.
So you've made a motion. Do we have a second?
I was second, but
Yeah.
I want to see if I can make a friendly amendment. But I just want to understand why.
You
we-
can't friendly admit your
I know,
motion.
but, well, let me ask the question, and maybe before I second it. Why wouldn't we allow public input at next meeting? Because
We've had the public input, we're going to take that and the new information and present a vote. We're not going to start over. We're not changing the number of units, we're not changing the quality, we're not changing, we're getting answers to the questions that are presented here this evening.
Do you have a question, Councilwoman Reese?
Well, regarding speaking, like allowing public comment at our public meeting, I don't know that we can say no to that. Even if there's not a presentation, I think
Okay,
we
well,
have to allow.
let me get that clarified for you.
She's correct. You would still have public comment, but it wouldn't be advertised for a public hearing in the ordinary course where you would be asking for the applicant to make a presentation, for the proponents, and then the opposition. It would just be the normal public comment as the mayor does for every item that's on the agenda. That's correct.
Councilman Hypes, I assume you have a question?
I'll try to finish on an upswing, but I will hope that when we reconvene, rather than just voting, that we have a public answer to our questions so that the public is aware what the questions and answers are. Otherwise, if we're just convening to vote, we've learned things behind the scenes, but the public doesn't know what we've learned, absent any colloquy we have up here. So I think there needs to be Q&A that clarifies our votes.
That will help.
I think you could still do that with decision only without having another public hearing. And that's just a function of assuming you have considered what conditions you want, you've gotten the verification you need, you've buttoned it up as you're suggesting you're going to do. That could simply be a function of staff coming up, presenting what the recommendation is, what the conditions are going to be. The public would still have the opportunity to come up and make comments as they would in the ordinary course, and you would still be in a position to make your decision via motion and vote. You can certainly make a motion to, put this on the April agenda with advertising and another public hearing if you want. That's not prohibited, but you can address the Q&A as you suggested. Not Q&A necessarily, but being able to inform the public as to what that buttoning up is going to look like.
So for the record, comments will be part of my motion.
I'll restate it so that it's easier for the clerk. I think that, Chris, what was the date again? So that this would be deferred for decision only to April 13th with direction for staff to amend the staff report upon, consideration of the amendments to the recommendations and conditions.
Bless you.
I will accept that as my motion.
second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion about the motion? We've had enough discussion about the motion, so I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion, as outlined by Ms. Eswine, please vote yes. Otherwise, vote accordingly. And it does pass unanimously. So, ladies and gentlemen, I assume we'll be reconvening to discuss this again on April 13th. So, next item up on our agenda. Oh, well, we've got a few that were deferred, so I mentioned that earlier. So if you're looking at the printed agenda, we'll be passing along to new business portion of tonight's meeting. In the new business portion of tonight's meeting, first item is resolution for the fleet maintenance and replacement policy for the city of Alpharetta. Ms. Eswine, do you mind reading that resolution out loud, please?
A resolution by the mayor and council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, adopting a fleet maintenance and replacement policy for the city of Alpharetta, providing for implementation and administration for other purposes.
Thank you very much. I've lost a council member. Director Harris, would you like to begin this item?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As we discussed at the retreat in January, we formalized a policy, this policy that's attached, after working with all the city departments and some direction from Councilmember Hypes and Councilmember Brady. Primarily, we were able to put this policy together. Again, we talked about it at the retreat. There've been no changes to it since then. In the short, really, in the end, I guess, this will be a policy that we think will bring about significant savings to our budgetary for fleet management going forward.
Excellent. Significant savings is a good thing. Do we have any questions for Director Harris? Thanks, sir. Ms. Eswine? Ms. Eswine. Ms. Shapiro, do you have any public comment cards on this item?
No, sir, I do not.
However, if there's anyone that would like to come forward and speak on this item, now is your chance to do so. I don't see anyone coming forward, so we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Mr. Mayor, I am absolutely happy and honored to make a motion tonight to adopt a resolution approving the fleet maintenance and replacement policy, which provides a comprehensive citywide framework for managing Alpharetta's vehicle and equipment fleet in a manner that promotes public safety, service reliability, and fiscal responsibility.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brady, a second by Councilman Hypes. And that was in favor of the resolution. Any discussion? Councilman Brady.
Why not? I just want to thank Tom and staff so much for working through this, and Councilman Hypes for your cooperation in this. Adding these pieces does help our fiscal responsibility as a city, and there were savings over $300,000 we found by doing this. There's more accountability, there's more transparency in what we're working on, and I think it's a great thing for the city, and I'm proud to see this go through tonight.
Sounds great. Councilman Hypes.
And I want to return the favor to Councilman Brady. He put a lot of time into this with Director Harris and others in some meetings to work through cost of ownership. And, you know, for the public, little known fact, when we were going through the budget, you know, the big two items on the capital side are pretty easy to guess, and it's roads and stormwater. But it may have caught a few people by surprise that the third biggest capital item in the budget was $1.3 million a year for fleet replacement. And we now have an objective set of criteria on how to address that when and what type of vehicles are purchased, how they're maintained, what the fuel mileage is, you know, what their use will be, what the fuel mileage is, why they're idling versus running. And a lot of work was put into it by a lot of folks, and we're in a better place because of it. And thanks to, again, to Director Harris and Councilman Brady.
Any other discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. Director Harris, once again, you're beckoned.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll cover for Morgan on this one. But this is an administrative item basically for you because this grant was provided in the past in 2025, I think. And because we're trying to make sure the grant agreement is compliant with new federal regulations and new administration and executive orders, it's before you again.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions for Director Harris on this item? Thank you, sir.
We have no public comment cards, sir.
Well, thank you, Ms. Shapiro. However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak on this item, now's your chance. I do not see anyone coming forward, so I'll call for a motion.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the amendment to Community Development Block Grant Program agreement between Fulton County and the City of Alpharetta related to the grant funding of ADA accessibility improvements to the Adult Activity Center parking lot and with authorization for the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
I have a motion by Councilman Brady, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Markle. Any discussion? Don't see any. All those in favor? There you go. All those in favor, please vote yes. And it is unanimous. So we'll move on to the next item, which is the I Can Shine and City of Alpharetta 2026 I Can Bike Host Agreement. Director Rogers, you do have to cover this one yourself.
All right. Thank you. Well, good evening, council. It's always a pleasure to be with y'all. I appreciate Tom, what he does for me. I was just surprised it only took 9 years for him to actually do something for me. Seriously, I am here tonight to ask for approval of the I Can Shine agreement between Roswell, between the City of Alpharetta and I Can Shine. We're seeking approval of this annual agreement to host the I Can Bike program at Union Hill Park. This inclusive program empowers 40 children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities to learn how to ride bikes independently. This program began as an outreach program through the City of Alpharetta's Public Safety Program. In 2024, the Recreation Services Division took over the administration of the program. 100-plus volunteers are needed to conduct the program, and police and fire departments continue to be heavily involved in the success of this program. This week-long program, held annually in June at the Covered Arena in Union Hill Park, is currently funded through the Recreation and Parks Cultural Services budget. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have about I Can Bike.
Do we have any questions for Director Rogers? Councilwoman Reeves.
And how can our community sign up to volunteer?
There will be, on the city's website, there will be a link for the I Can Bike, and we certainly are recruiting volunteers as well as participants, but that'll be on the city's website probably in the middle of next month.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions for Director Rogers? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And we have no public comment cards on this item, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Shapiro. However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak, now is your chance. Once again, I don't see anyone coming forward, so I'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, Mayor, I make a motion, the council approve as presented the agreement between the City of Alpharetta and I Can Shine, permitting the City of Alpharetta to host the I Can Bike program and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents. Indicates an amount not to exceed $11,400.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Hypes, second by Councilwoman Reeves. Any discussion? Glad to see it come forward. It's a great program. Thank you, Director Rogers. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously, so we'll move right along to the next grant agreement for the Arts Alpharetta and bi-yearly outdoor sculpture exhibit, Art on Loan project.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This project began in 2018 as an annual program, but due to the logistics, it was changed to an every other year install. And this would be the fourth exhibit of this bi-yearly outdoor sculpture exhibit program. Currently, there are 10 sculptures that are scheduled to be switched out, 4 at Brook Street Park, 1 at Wills Park, 1 at Thompson Street Park, 1 at North Main Street Park, 1 on Highway 9, and 2 on the Alpha Loop. Funding is provided bi-yearly through the City of Alpharetta budget process. The number of sculptures is determined by the budget and the individual costs of the pieces on loan. This grant agreement with Arts Alpharetta will provide a turnkey service for all aspects of the project. The final list of proposed structures and their locations will come back to the council for final approval. Nancy with Arts Alpharetta, as well as myself, will be glad to answer any questions that you may have about this program.
Do we have any questions about this? Councilwoman Reeves.
Who selects the artwork?
Arts Alpharetta, this agreement gives that duty to Arts Alpharetta. So they will do a call out for artists. They will select the sculptures that would be moved forward, but this body actually approves the actual sculptures and the locations.
Any other questions for Director Rogers? Thank you, sir. Ms. Shearer?
We have no public comment cards on this item, sir.
However, if you want to come speak about statue program, now's your chance. Don't see anyone coming forward, so we'll move right along. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, Mayor, I make a motion that council approve the grant agreement between City of Alpharetta and Arts Alpharetta for the creation and implementation of the bi-yearly outdoor sculpture exhibit art on loan project, and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
Second.
I think that was a Councilman Dorito on the second. Any discussion? Councilman Hypes.
Thank you, Mayor. When you walk around this town and start to take note of we've got the piece of art here and piece of art there, and all of a sudden you see the cumulative total of the amount of art that we have around Alpharetta, we are really on to something. The growth of arts in Alpharetta has been very significant over the last 10 years. And it's an area of growth for cultural just enhancement of the city that I think is worth pursuing. I'm glad we're pursuing it. I think this is a key component of that. I just want to give a plug, because it's on this point, that the Cultural Arts Department has created the story map of Alpharetta Public Art, which shows where public art pieces are located it's on the internet, and shows where they're located, a little bit of history about each piece of art that is highlighted, and it's located on a map on that link. So I think this is a very, very worthwhile endeavor that we are involved in to make our great city even greater. I'm glad we're pursuing this.
Thank you, sir. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote yes. And it is unanimous. So we'll move right along to the next item, which is the ordinance for the fiscal year 2026 budget amendment. This is a second reading. Ms. Eswine, do you mind reading the ordinance?
An ordinance by the mayor and council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, to adopt a fiscal year 2026 budget amendment for certain funds of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, appropriating the amount shown in each budget as expenditures, adopting the items of revenue anticipation, prohibiting expenditures to exceed appropriations, and prohibiting expenditures to exceed actual funding available.
Do we need anyone to discuss this?
I think what Tom is going to say is that there have been no changes since first reading. So if you have any questions, he's there to answer them, or he can call Morgan up to answer them, or whatever. But no, there's
There have
no
been no changes.
No changes.
Thank you. Do we have any questions about no changes? Ms. Shiro, do we have any public comment cards?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have any public comments on the budget changes? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Do I have a motion from council?
It's great to see Tom walk up here. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt an ordinance of the mayor and the council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, to adopt a fiscal year 2026 mid-year budget as presented.
I have a motion by Councilman Brady, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel. Any discussion? All those in favor, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. So we'll move on to the contract approval for the Alpharetta Strategic Plan. Mr. Lagerbloom, you have this item.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This was born out of several discussions that happened pre-retreat, but then also during the retreat, where I've always taken and distilled what I thought that the annual action plan was and brought that back to you as a one-year work plan. There was a desire, at least I read the desire, to be more strategic in our thinking and start to look out over multiple years. This is a rather easy and relatively inexpensive way to move into that world because it would be a agreement with the University of Georgia, another government, and the Carl Vincent Institute of Government. We could go find a consulting firm that could charge us $100,000 to do this, but I think this is a great first step. They contemplate a couple of days. They do contemplate a day with the City Council, identify mission, vision, values, goals, and all of those buzzwords that we like to throw out there, as well as then a day with the staff team and how the implementation of the City Council's policy happens and how we start to get more strategic around that. I can tell you that the price of this at a base price is $23,281. I have had some comments from members of the council that along this process, they would like to have engagement with the public in some capacities specifically focused around this. And I would just say that if you chose to do that, we could in fact add one of the optional services that is included in the contract, which are focus groups. And doing 2 of those at $2,000 a day, if someone eventually were to make a motion to have a not to exceed number of 27.5 instead of 23, we could add on some of those optional services if that's something that I've heard very directly from a couple of the members of council. So that's the presentation I have for you today. We'll get this done on a timeline that will be completed by summer. And I think I saw early fall, summer, August. I'm going back to summer.
Nobody's here in the summer. They're
It's still
all
going
in
to be
Florida.
in August. It's still going to be hot, so we'll call that summer. But I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? You must have done a great job. There were no questions. Ms. Shapiro?
We have no public comment cards for this item.
However, if anyone would like to come forward, speak about this strategic plan, now's your chance. Don't see anyone coming forward, so we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
I make a motion that we engage with the Carl Vincent Institute to help guide us through a strategic plan process to include a couple of public sessions, forums at the not to exceed $27,500.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilwoman Reeves, second by Councilman Brady. Any discussion? Now's your chance.
I am so excited about this. I'm so excited about this because I was like running for city council. This was on my bucket list. And I talked to Mr. Lagerbloom about it, oh my gosh, back in the summer, right? And I'm just really glad. And I've been through this process a couple of times with different organizations. And I am just really looking forward to this great council rolling up our sleeves and listening to the community and putting this together. I think it will be a great process that we can put vision, mission, goals, and strategic plan out there. And it should marry really well with your work plan, the annual work plan. And I'm just very excited to work with all of you and to hear from our community.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously, so we'll move on to the last item. New business is resolution appointment of hearing examiner for alcohol license hearings. Ms. Shapiro.
Yes, and if we want Ms. Eswine to read the resolution title.
A resolution by the mayor and council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, appointing a hearing examiner for the purpose of alcoholic beverage license hearings.
Why, thank you for reading that resolution. Do we have any questions on this item? Is there any other discussion from staff? All those in favor, or do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I offer a motion this evening to approve the resolution appointment of a hearing examiner for alcohol license hearings. Second.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel, a second by Councilman Dorito. Any discussion? All those in favor, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. Mr. Lagerbloom, do we require an executive session this evening?
We don't, but I believe we do have some public comment tonight. I think there's a handful of people have signed up with the clerk.
Okay. Ms. Shapiro?
Yes, we have quite a few speakers, so if you guys want to go ahead and come and line up on the front row. The first speaker this evening is Matt Peter. Just a couple friendly reminders. Please state your name and address for the record, and also try to limit your comments to 3 minutes each. So first up is Matt Peter, second is Naseem.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Matt Peter. I live at 545 Barnsley Lane, Alpharetta, in the neighborhood of Glen Abbey. I am the former president of the Glen Abbey HOA from the 2023 to 2025 timeframe. And I'm here to highlight a specific regulatory gap in Chapter 13 of the City Code. And it's based on 2 years of direct oversight and noise mitigation research. In my opinion, it's clear that Alpharetta's current noise ordinances are not calibrated for the 400% intensification of the land use that occurs when we convert tennis courts into pickleball courts. And that 400% means you take something that was 2 to 4 people at a time, you put 4 pickleball courts on it, now you've got 16 people on the court. You know, and it's easy to sort of categorize this stuff and these concerns as, you know, pickleball, and it's in the news, kind of standard neighbor-to-neighbor disputes, right? You know, from my perspective and sort of being in the neutral middle, I'm not a pickleball player. I'm not impacted by any of it, and I worked for 2 years to try and find solutions that would work for everybody. You know, we spent those 2 years as sort of a fact-finding body, exhausting mitigation tactics, acoustic blankets, all this stuff, quiet paddles, and basically found that, you know, any soft mitigation is practically unenforceable. You know, the sound is scientifically distinct. It doesn't, the noise ordinances which we have today, which are 60 decibels at the property line plus 10 for impulse, you know, they were never designed to manage the situation that we are dealing with. You know, I understand why the support is popular and the relationships and the friends and the social aspect and how important it is to people. You know, the reality is, though, is that these courts within about 250 feet, they create a super predictable startle reflex environment. And that means, you know, symptoms that are similar to like gunshots almost, right, for people that are affected by them. We've got neighbors who like have moved their baby infants and, you know, from their room upstairs into the basement. We've got people that just say, yeah, we just, on the weekends, we just leave. And if it rains, like, then we can spend the day at the house. Stuff like that. You know, from a city planning perspective, we're looking at, you know, in similar situations, it's very predictable at this point. Roswell, Peachtree City, Noonan, Tucker, Avondale Estates, they've all faced these issues. And the conclusion is pretty much always the same. You know, distance is really the only reliable mitigation. They find alternative sites. They, you know, look at other ways of doing it. You know, and right now, relying on police officers to measure the decibels, right, in the middle of this workday, or, you know, as this the play comes and goes, is sort of a inefficient use of city resources. People call the police to try and, you know, notify them of these things, and it's happening again and again. You know, came in the HOA, that would happen to us too, like, get notified. Sorry, I'll finish up in 1 second. So I'm urging the council to consider a proactive update to our codes with 250-foot minimum setbacks for high-impact noise sports from residential property lines, and a conditional use process for any facility within 500 feet of a home to allow for, you know, site-specific vetting. You know, that's most of my comments, and I'd like to just give, you know, residents quiet enjoyment from their Alpharetta address. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Shapiro?
Next speaker, Naseem Rezvanpour, I apologize. And then next up is Beth Shellhouse.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Naseem Rezvanpour. I'm a resident of Alpharetta, 12330 Claremont Avenue, and I'm also a city planner. I'm speaking tonight in support.
I'm sorry, if you don't mind, could you please speak up?
Yeah. Okay. I'm
As much
speaking
for us
tonight.
as for the people that may
Yeah,
have this video.
sure.
Thank you.
I'm speaking tonight in support of Glen Abbey's residents and to share my own experience as a homeowner in Claremont community in Cummings Street, close to downtown Alpharetta. I would start by that. When tennis courts were originally designed within residential neighborhoods, their intended use was compatible with surrounding homes. Tennis was considered low-impact recreational amenity. Of course, homes near amenities should expect some level of recreational noise, and this is part of community living. However, what we are experiencing today is not some level of noise. My home is approximately 150 feet from our tennis court. When we purchased our house 2 years ago in the beautiful city of Alpharetta, these courts were used for tennis, and we had no issues. Seriously, no issues. Tennis noise was occasional and consistent with residential expectations. After the conversion to pickleball, which our HOA decided, the character of the sound changed significantly. This is not simply about decibel levels. It's high-frequency, impulsive pop noise that is created by the hard paddle and the hard plastic ball. The sound is sharp, repetitive. Even inside our home, with windows closed, it is clearly audible. For the past year, we have not been fully enjoying our backyard and the quiet time in our home. And part of our home when they are playing is almost non-usable. We close our master bedroom door and we cannot rest in our master bedroom and our living room. Over the past year, we have tried to address this issue with our HOA. I personally requested that the impact study or acoustic analysis be conducted and that mitigation options such as sound barriers be explored. Unfortunately, the request didn't move forward. Through my own research, I have found that some municipalities recommended pickleball courts be located at least 600 feet away from residential homes to minimize the impact. Homes within 150 to 250 feet, like mine, are consistently identified as highly affected. I understand that the city has taken thoughtful steps regarding new development. I know that, and I appreciate that. But my question is whether there is a mechanism for the city to require impact studies or mitigation measures when tennis courts are being converted to pickleball courts within close proximity to homes. I want to mention this is not about eliminating pickleball, but it's about ensuring compatibility and protecting the residential quality of life. Thank you for your time. I know it's late. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shapiro?
Oh, Beth, go ahead, come on up. And then next up is Matt Christensen.
Hi, y'all. Good evening. My name is Beth Shellhouse, and I live in the Glen Abbey neighborhood in Alpharetta at 345 Tividale Court. I want to begin by acknowledging the city's mission to make a positive difference in the community and to provide services and leadership that exceed the expectations of its citizens. I also appreciate the vision to offer a high-quality environment for residents and foster a strong sense of community, safety, and livability. I support recreation and community health. However, since pickleball courts were placed near our home, the character of our neighborhood has been disrupted in ways that conflict with these shared values. What was once a peaceful environment is now filled with a series of sharp, repetitive pops from the courts. This is not just an annoyance. It affects our family's ability to rest, relax, and feel secure in our own home. Widely recognized data-driven facts about noise help explain why this matters, which I will summarize as follows. Number one, environmental noise is a well-documented stressor known to increase tension and reduce overall well-being when persistent. Number two, sleep disruption is among the most clearly established effects of ongoing noise exposure, and healthy sleep is essential for physical and emotional health. Number three, high-pitch, impulsive sounds are more intrusive and harder to adapt to than general background noise. Personally speaking, the pickleball noise is abysmal, to say the least. The irregular cadence of the ball strike is piercingly loud, so loud that we hear pickleball activity inside our home, including our primary bedroom. The pickleball noise awakens our sleeping baby, and we've had to relocate his bedroom down to the basement, 2 floors away from the rest of the family, in an effort to provide him the best environment that we can. Never did I expect in the city of Alpharetta to have such a disturbance inside our home. For clarification, we never hear tennis ever inside our home, and our home sits 150 feet away from the pickleball courts that were originally tennis courts when we purchased the home. Imagine being an exhausted parent, a stressed out teen, or a newborn baby and not being able to rest inside your own home, inside your bed. Because a small minority of people want to play pickleball close to their homes rather than the many options available, which are available in the city, including many within about a 5-minute drive of our neighborhood. We even spent tens of thousands of dollars to replace our nothing strong windows in an attempt to hope to find relief, but it was without success. As a resident, I share the city's aspiration for a high-quality environment and strong community, but that environment must include places where families can live in peace, rest, and comfort, as the city's own vision describes. I respectfully urge the council to explore options to honor both recreation and livability, such as zoning restrictions for pickleball courts and a setback limit, installing effective sound mitigation measures, conducting formal noise impact assessments. We are not asking you to stop recreation, only ensure that our neighborhood remains a healthy, peaceful, and wonderful place to live, consistent with the city's mission and vision. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Shapiro?
Matt Christensen, and then last Cami Christensen.
Good evening. My name is Matt Christensen. I live at 550 Ebley Place in Glen Abbey, and it's also less than about 150 feet from the pickleball courts that were constructed behind my home this past fall. And I just want to share first that I'm actually an avid pickleball player. I love playing pickleball, and it's a great sport. So what I'm raising tonight isn't opposition to pickleball. Rather, it's about understanding its acoustic impact on residential neighborhoods and families who live nearby the courts. Pickleball noise is not background noise. It is not like the consistent hum of traffic or lawn equipment. It is a constant series of sharp, impulsive pops, random, high-pitched sound events that the human brain is biologically wired to notice and react to. To understand the real impact, you must look beyond decibel levels and look at frequency. A single pickleball court produces approximately 15 hits per minute. That's roughly 900 pops per hour. If pickleball play is active for 10 to 12 hours a day, that's more than 10,000 sharp sound events per court per day. I live adjacent to 4 courts, so do the math. That's 40,000 pulsive noise events that can impact me, not occasionally, but every day. Our current sound ordinances measure the wrong thing with respect to pickleball. Decibel averages cannot simply capture the relentless repetition and unpredictable timing of these sharp impulse noises. When tennis was played, as has been mentioned before, I hardly even knew that it's going on. I don't even know that they're playing. But when pickleball is played, the sound disrupts in my backyard, and it actually penetrates into my home, in my bedroom, my office, throughout my entire house. I really can't escape the noise. As mentioned earlier, my property is less than 100 feet from the pickleball courts. And at this distance, experts classify this proximity as highly problematic. Communities across the country have already confronted this issue, and the consistent conclusion is clear. Distance matters the most. Recommended setbacks range from 250 to 800 feet, far greater than what currently separates these courts from my home and my neighbors. So my ask to the council is this. First, please establish conditional use zoning specifically for pickleball, with clear residential setback requirements. Pickleball is acoustically distinct, and it deserves zoning standards that reflect the reality. Second, please develop ordinances that give our police and code enforcement officers the tools to address pickleball noise as a true sound disturbance, not just as an average decibel reading that fails to capture the actual harm. The ask is really about placing pickleball where it belongs and clearly make sure that it doesn't go where it doesn't belong, so it doesn't create ongoing conflict between neighbors and the city. Thank you for your time, and thank you for considering solutions that protect the quality of life for my home or for homeowners like me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And then, oh, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Cami Christensen. I live at 550 Ebley Place in Alpharetta. I'd like to begin by inviting my friends and neighbors who've endured a very long meeting, enjoyed and learned a lot, to please stand, those who came to support us tonight. We lost about 10 people due to the late hour, but I really appreciate the support of many friends and neighbors who are here for us tonight. I am here because I also am experiencing major disruption to the peaceful enjoyment of my home and property due to 4 permanent pickleball courts that were built in October 2025, just 150 feet behind my property line. Pickleball noise interrupts my family dinners, Zoom calls, work meetings, and totally prevents the use of our outdoor space for meals or family time. It is hard to overstate the impact that the impulsive, repetitive sound of pickleball has on our daily lives. As a high school educator, I spend my days managing the needs of others. When I pull into my own driveway, I shouldn't have to wonder whether the first thing I hear stepping out of my car will be the strikes of pickleball echoing in my garage. The impact has become so significant that I now hear phantom pops even when no one is playing, a sign which is supported by research that my nervous system has been conditioned to anticipate the sound. That is not a nuisance, that is a health consequence. I have no control over when pickleball is being played and am relieved on cold or rainy days that my home environment won't be disturbed. When the permanent courts were announced last June, 12 Glen Abbey family sent a letter to the Alpharetta City Council, mayor, and planning director petitioning for a site review prior to the court's construction. Unfortunately, an official review was not made, and the city's current zoning and noise regulations did not prevent the courts from being built. Last October, we have made many noise nuisance calls to the police department and have really, truly appreciated the support of City Officer Lori Nicholson, who has stood in my bedroom, stood in my kitchen, and on my deck, personally experiencing the sound of pickleball for herself. We are here tonight to petition the leadership of the City of Alpharetta to update their zoning standards to be consistent with scientific and acoustical engineering expert recommendations, which categorize any court within 100 feet of a home as high risk and those between 100 and 250 feet as highly problematic. There are currently about 10 Glen Abbey homes in the highly problematic zone. I understand that pickleball is a beloved activity enjoyed by many Alpharetta residents, including my husband, and we are not asking for it to be eliminated. But responsible governance means ensuring the enjoyment of the many does not come at the documented expense of the health and well-being of the few. Zoning standards exist precisely for this purpose, and we are asking you to do 3 things. First, establish a minimum setback distance for pickleball courts from residential homes. Second, designate pickleball as a conditional use activity requiring site review. And third, update noise standards to reflect the impulsive nature of pickleball sound. The current 70 decibel limit does not capture its true acoustic impact. I am urging you to take action to protect me, my family, and other Alpharetta residents from the daily disruption I experience having pickleball courts so close to my home. There are many places for residents to enjoy this recreational activity. I only have one place to live, eat, sleep, and call home. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Those are all the public comment cards I have at this time, but if there's anyone else, I'll leave that to you, Mayor.
If there's anyone else that would like to come forward and speak on this, it's open speak. Okay, well, I will say I appreciate the issue. I don't think any of us up here aren't aware that that is a problem. I think if there was a simple solution, we would have already addressed it. I'll be glad to have our city attorney look into what options we have. But the challenge is, we can't, as a government, make people be nice neighbors. The absurdity of an HOA causing this problem to people who own properties in their, look, I've served on HOA boards, I know. But the absurdity of thinking we might have to put our staff or our city in legal jeopardy for what you're asking us to do. Because if we go in and try to impose a restriction that didn't exist when they built or bought their home, we might get sued because we didn't have an ordinance. We didn't have a distance set. How do we go back and retroactively impose one on private property owners? That's not a simple thing for us to fix. If it was easy, we would have already done it. If we could just tell people to be nice, we would have already made them be nice. We'll look at it. We'll continue to explore options. But the problem is you've got horrible HOA people who won't stand up and do what's right for their homeowners association. Does anyone else on council have anything to add to that? I mean, we'll continue to have the conversation. We'll continue to have our police department and our legal team look at what our options are. But I don't want to have to fight a 10-year-long lawsuit because we've told Glen Abbey that they can't use the pickle courts that they built. It's absurd. But that's the world we find ourselves in. So I'll continue to have conversations. Feel free to give us options. But I haven't heard anything yet that says, no, that's not going to make us end up being in the lawsuit one way or another. We can't win until we find a better solution. But thank you for continuing to have the conversation. If you find a perfect solution, we'll be glad to enact it. But I don't see it there yet. That being said, if we don't have an executive session, we have a motion to adjourn. So moved. Have a motion? Do we have a second? Okay. Councilman, vote. All those in favor of adjourning, please vote yes.